Bubba the Love Sponge.
Roger. Brace for auditory impact. 10 seconds there. 4, 2, record on my count.
May I have your attention, please? Bubba decided to take off this week, so this is what we call the best of Bubba.
We're ready to go into fast time if you are.
For all you counter-programmers out there, we know this is recycled material, some or all of which you may not approve. Do us all a favor and save your emails and chat cancer comments. They will just be filed in the Go F*** Yourself department.
Doing a real good show up there, and I think we're proving our point, old buddy.
Thanks for your attention to this matter.
Broadcast rights for the Bubba the Love Sponge show have been granted to this station by the Bubba Radio Network and is intended solely for the enjoyment of our listening audience. Any rebroadcast, retransmission, or other use of this production without the express written consent of the Bubba Radio Network is prohibited.
What's up, Bubba?
How you doing, bud?
Doing good. Good morning.
Now, where's home for Bud?
It's in Reno, Nevada.
Oh, that's where my dad lives.
Oh, yeah?
My dad lives in, I think, Sparks.
Yeah, he's a smart man then, because Reno's so close to hell you can see Sparks, but the smart people, they get tired of living in hell, so they move to Sparks.
Yeah, my dad's got kind of like a little bit of land up on a mountain kind of deal, and he has his shop and, everything, all this. He goes out and drink. He's got a pretty big shop because he restores antique Fords, and he just loves the hell out of it.
Oh, he's probably my neighbor. Because
Yeah.
I live up on the hill over there, and I restore Chevys.
Oh, listen, my dad, I'm telling you right now, Bud, my dad is one of the most knowledgeable men in the entire, in the 1932, he specifically does 32 Fords, like the first year of the V8. So he's a 32 Ford guy. And he built, like, you don't understand. He's got like some real rare stuff, like what was that from Eddie Meyer from Hollywood in intakes and single Strombo carburetors with Arden heads. He doesn't chop any of his cars, but he's like the foremost expert. I should hook you two up.
This is like car porn in the morning.
Yeah.
I have a 31 Ford. You guys, your dad's like into 32s.
Yeah, because those 31 Model A's, the 32 guys kind of scoff, but like, man, that guy's got a 31 Model A. He's kind of a pussy. Because I think the only thing they offered back in 31 was a 4-cylinder. That's it.
Yeah.
The V8s didn't come out till 32. Hey, listen, Bud, when we get done, let me give you my dad's info, because you would just, he just,
That'd be great.
he's just all about, he goes to the August, August hot nights, and right now he's somewhere in Vancouver.
What do you want Bud to knock on his door and see if he can come out and play?
No, but like Bud is a classic car, early Ford guy, and those guys, there's not a lot of them, but they stick together. Because
Bud, don't grow too close to him, though. He may ditch you for a while.
Shut up. So, Bud, we just played your new single. It gets dropped tomorrow. You're one of the original OGs. You're one of the couple that were there from day one to now. Jacob taking over. And just, how do you have are you rejuvenated? Do you feel like there's like a new lease for Sublime, and you guys can go out there and really do jam it like you guys used to, write good stuff? You guys now practically sound the same. Jacob just has an uncanny ability to sound like his dad. You guys are, if you guys are as Sublime you've ever been, do you go out there and kill it now?
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, this has just been the gift that keeps on giving. Thanks to the fans. 100%. We owe it to you guys. It's all your love that has kept us around this long, and we're just stoked to be able to share this with you once again. Just like you said, Bubba, Jake is just, he's killing it up there. I mean, he's.
Do you sometimes, as you're back here drumming your ass off, do you sometimes close your eyes? Because I know you guys got monitors. You got inner ear. You guys got inner ears too. So you're hearing probably the final mix, aren't you? On your in your monitors.
Yeah, I'm hearing all kinds of things that are going on. live and direct in my monitors, but yeah, I can just sit there and close my eyes, and it just takes me to another
Be
place.
like, man, I swear to God, if I didn't know any better, it was Brad up there just belting it all out, right? I mean, the kid.
Oh,
It
yeah,
makes for
yeah.
such a great story too. It really does. You know.
Yeah, I mean, who would have thought that 27 years later, you know, this guy's son's going to come up and just take the reins, and then just bring us right back to the top again.
And not, not from some jobber local band, but from a very successful, alternative rock. Like you guys you had the it factor for a long time. You guys were you guys know, we're not talking about some mid-level band. You guys were the upper echelon of alternative rock. Absolutely. And for that guy to come in, that's a big undertaking and a lot of pressure.
Yeah, when we played that Coachella show, it was like we got out there and there was like 98,000 people out there. I wasn't nervous for me. I was nervous for Jake. I was like, man, I'm thriving on this. This is the kind of environment that Eric and I just eat up. We're working off the crowd. The crowd's just feeding us energy. But I'm like sitting here going like, holy crap. Jake's played in front of like maybe 5,000 people at the
Right.
most. Whoa!
Now was the Coachella, was that kind of the anointment, like the anointing of, okay, this, we've done some smaller seat venues, but now we're at Coachella. It is not only the who's who are there, but they're true music enthusiasts. They could have very well said, man, you guys can feel the vibe of the crowd, and when you guys hit it and played that very first song, whatever it was, you could probably tell that, man, we got lightning in a bottle here, based on the response you're getting from the fans, based on the vibe and what you're hearing through your monitors. You probably being the old timer and being the guy that's been there the longest, like man, this is, sensory overload almost.
Coachella was like baptism by fire. It was like either we do it or we die, and it was the telltale moment. Either this is going to happen or it's going to fade real fast. And Jake handled it like a pro. And then, we came back and started, rehearsing a couple more songs and stuff, kind of trying to work on our live set. And then we put that Feel Like That song out, and that kind of opened the door for things, really right there. That was the door opening moment for Ensenada. It was like, wow, this could really happen.
Now the Ensenada, before listening to the lyrics, because I'm kind of a sick, perverted kind of, I'm kind of a sicko. So I said, like, why would a band write a song about a city unless that's got a lot of groupie ass? And so, is that what Ensenada, it was why you guys wrote it? Because that's where the best groupie ass is? Or is that where you truly have the most fun at that particular city? I got you thinking. I got you thinking, buddy. I got you thinking.
Yes, you did. Oh yeah, no, being a car guy, you can't miss the Baja 1000.
No,
that was, Southern California. We just live off that stuff. We'd go down to Baja and go surfing. We'd take off to go down there and buy beer before we were 21 and stuff, because you could get it down there legally when you're 18. So we were always heading down to Ensenada back in the day, just to get tacos and stuff.
Just as kids, just as frolicking around as kids.
Yeah. 16, 17, 18 years old. It was nothing back then.
So it wasn't what I thought, where it was the best groupies of the tour was Ensenada.
But there are. But there are. It's the best fish tacos in Ensenada by far, and that's his 100% tour information for you guys, because the farther you get from Ensenada, the worse the Mexican food gets, and you can't get any fresher fish tacos than in Ensenada.
Man, you would think that the Chamber of Commerce of Ensenada has hired you to be their spokesperson, Bud. You're really going crazy about Ensenada, man. I'm telling you.
I'm friends with the mayor.
So you guys got, I'm looking at your tour dates. You guys are hitting all the big ones, and really, from Minnesota to Long Beach to Vegas to Brooklyn. I mean, you guys are canvassing the entire country nicely. Don't see any. Wish I saw a Florida date down here. What the hell?
We were just there. We played that live golf tournament down there at Trump Doral.
Yeah, but
in Miami.
hold on.
Miami.
But hold on, numbnuts. The average Sublime person can't go to that gig. Come on now.
I know.
Okay, so don't.
The average Sublime fan doesn't have a polo shirt.
Right. So the average schlep that lives in, Pinellas Park that's a Sublime fan, that bitch couldn't go. No, he hasn't seen you. You guys, he's not going to be able to see you guys. He can't go to.
We did the Halloween. We did the Halloween down there too. So.
Don't give me what you did, bitch. You need to make it over to Florida, my friend, and then I can go backstage and and you can act like you know me. I can get a couple pictures and I look super cool.
We're coming back.
So Brian and Seth, any questions for Bud?
Well, I just want to know when you were originally with Sublime with Rome, and then you said after a while it just didn't feel right. What made this feel different? Because it was Brad's son?
Yeah, it was definitely that. The timing on things was just. It was different back then. I'm a single parent raising 3 kids by myself now, and they're still pretty young. When this came around, it wasn't really to do any music per se. It was, we're doing this benefit show for a friend of ours, HR, and that's how it all started. So it happened real organically. Like I had played songs with Jake before, and it was really like kind of like, I don't think this is ever really going to happen, But then the idea came about, to do this benefit show, and the timing was just right.
Now, Bud, did Jacob grow up in the music business? Like, has he obviously lost his dad at a very young age, 11 months, like a year, something like that. And so obviously stayed in his dad's lane, so to speak. Kid could have gone and done anything, whatever a kid wanted to do, if you set your mind to it, you can do it. But, he obviously to commit to the rock and to the musician business, he just didn't come and thought about this last week. And this has been I'm sure that he's been through, probably 10 local bands, because that's kind of how it works as a musician. You go through all kinds of different bands and personnel before you finally get the one that all gels together and you get lucky enough to get a hit. So has he been in a bunch of bands regionally and locally up to this point?
Yeah, he did. He kind of got his musical start later on in life. He wasn't really groomed to be a musician. He was kind of guarded in that sense. Kind of keep him away from all the vampires, garlic necklaces and lots of crosses and holy water and
all that nonsense.
But yeah, no, he grew up in Long Beach and kind of had the same kind of childhood that Eric and Brad and I all had, and then he just picked up a guitar and started playing it, and grabbed a couple neighborhood friends and formed a band and started touring and stuff, so
he started out like nobody handed him nothing. He organically started the way you had to start, or the way his dad had to start. So like nothing was handed to him. You guys all didn't get together and be like, man, we think Jacob might be able to sound like his dad. Let's see if this kid no, this kid's already established himself as a lead vocalist, and it's a natural fit. It's amazing that he decided to take his father's path in life.
It is, and he like made early on he like established himself as his own musician, and like refused to play any Sublime songs. His first band,
they would be like, hey man, play some of your dad's stuff, brother, come on, like the local honky tonks, right? And he's like, no.
And he'd be like, okay, yeah, here's this, check it out, and play something
Be completely his own song or something, right?
Absolutely.
Here's an obscure Sublime cut that never made it, but let me just play it. It's really his stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now,
Brian, go ahead.
Bud, were you around Jake as he was growing up, or did you have like kind of like some space there where have you seen him grow up into the man he is now, or?
It was I live up in Reno, so we're like an 8-hour drive apart from each other, and so I would see him, occasionally here and there, so it wasn't like I was in his life on a daily or monthly kind of basis. So we'd run into each other, every couple of years or so.
Hey, are you still a Bigfoot guy, Bud?
Oh yeah,
Bud
I
believes
was just talking with Bubba the other day.
You're a Bigfoot guy?
No, Bigfoot's a band, Bubba.
Oh, I thought
not the hairy monster that's walking the earth.
I thought Bud was a Bigfoot dude, and he was like going to get into his Bigfoot conspiracy and stuff.
No, I thought you were on a Bigfoot show back in the day.
Yeah, no, my buddy Bubba, he was on that Finding Bigfoot show, and he brought me out squatching with him.
Is that what it's called when you're looking for Bigfoot, squatching?
Squatching, yeah.
Bud, I got to tell you, man, we appreciate you, coming on. And if you ever make it down to Tampa, we'd love to have you, love to have you on, and love to see you and go to the show. And more importantly, as you guys release new stuff, globally, we'd love to promote it for you on all of our various platforms and stuff. So, thank you for whitelisting the new song we've played now 3 times today. We appreciate that. And as you get new stuff, let's keep in touch, and let me get Bud's information, because I want to give him my dad's information, because I'm telling you, early 30 Ford guys they like to know where you like to know where there's another dude that's such an obscure niche of a hobby that when you find one, you probably like to know a little something about him.
Definitely.
Plus, let me tell you something, Bud. My dad does all of this. He's old school. So when my dad is repairing a quarter panel or something like that, my dad uses real lead and flux in the lead and then hand files it. And he doesn't use any Bondo or any putty like that. Like my dad still does it like the old fashioned way. So,
Yeah.
So
that's the way to do it.
And, hey, you guys, we're going to have Bud from Sublime being my dad, Doug Clem fan.
That's right.
Him and Doug Clem are going to hang. And Doug Clem knows nothing about Sublime. He listens to the Beach Boys, I think, honest to God.
Bud, you excited about the Vegas 3 nights there that you're going to be doing at the Park MGM?
Oh, yeah, that's going to be a blast. I can't wait for that.
How was it playing at Red Rock?
Oh, that'd be cool.
That's awesome. I mean, that place is like Mecca for musicians.
How much different was it, going back there? Because you guys played there, April?
Yeah. We played there in April, and then we played there with Stick Figure, I think, last year in September.
Nice.
Now, with regards to Red Rock, as beautiful as it is the infrastructure, like the backstage area for you musicians and stuff, like your guys' area, is that as equally nice and impressive?
Oh yeah. There's still there's rock and stuff formed into the dressing rooms and stuff down there below the stages and all that. It's pretty neat. There's little caves and stuff that you can walk through and tunnels, and it's pretty neat back there.
Somebody could do a show just on rock stars' dressing rooms, because realistically, Bud, I think you'd be the first one to say they're really not that glamorous. They might have a couch and a little bit of little vegetable tray and a little, I think all bands always ask for 12 towels and two cases of beer, so enough to get them on the road and to the next city. And when you're really, really on the road living you're going city to city, and you've been in that grind before.
It's so glamorous, I just want a plate of sweaty cheese when I get home, just to remind me of how glamorous it is. We dine at the truck stops all the time, at home, just to make me feel like I'm, special again.
When you start missing the touring schedule, you just go down to the Love's truck stop, pay for a $10 shower, and then it gets you right back on center. Hey, Bud, let's keep in touch. I want to promote all your stuff, my friend, and I'd like to get your information passed on to my dad. And again, man, let's do this. Let's do this every once in a while. Promote Sublime and where you guys are playing, and keep in touch, my friend. I wanna hope I met a new friend today.
Heck yeah, Bubba. Sounds great, man.
All right, buddy. We'll get your information and I'll pass it to my dad. Okay.
Perfect. Sounds great.
See you later, bud.
Right on. Take it easy.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Bud from Sublime. They got an extensive national touring schedule, but nothing in Florida. That sucks.
Well, Atlanta's not that far, Bubba.
I mean, we could really go backstage and big stuff with this guy. He really likes
now that
us.
him and your dad are best friends.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
he starts hanging out with my dad. Next thing you know, I got to go backstage.
They're building 32 Fords together.
Next thing you know, I got to go on stage and introduce him, the whole 9 yards.
We're hanging out at Christmas.
Yeah.
You're coming over.
Yeah, he's got his left front fender on his Model A is all tore up, and Doug Clem goes and fixes it for him and everything. It's got to be my man.
That's right.
Exactly. We got to go into words, don't we?
Yes, we do.
All right, back in a minute.
I don't know if you want to check the phone or. You're saying that Brooke.
Who?
Brooke Hogan.
Brooke Hogan?
Yeah.
Brooke.
Hold on. What would she be calling me for? Listen, I just had like a hot flash come over me. I'm nervous.
I know the phones have been pretty busy, but it was a female. I can say that one.
Okay, hold on. My palms are sweaty. What's the Eminem song go? My palms are sweaty.
Feet.
Something.
Yeah. Shirt stained with spaghetti.
I don't know.
Because you've been throwing up.
Hello. Is this Brooke?
Bubba,
Yes.
it's Brooke.
As in Brooke Teeny?
Yeah. Hi.
I don't even know what to say. I've not spoke to you since 2011, and I am afraid to where this could potentially go.
I'm not mad at you, Bubba. I'm not mad at you. I've been following you and I've been watching everything that, you've been saying since you defended me with my mom. Somebody sent it to me and it actually brought me to tears. Kind of feeling like somebody had a voice for me. So I've been kind of following you now and
for real.
And just yeah. I'm just feeling.
Brooke, I don't even know what to say. I mean, there's so many things going through my head right now that I want to say and there's so many things to talk about, and there's just so many. And I thought.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to call you. I don't have your number anymore, so I literally called what was on the screen.
So, first of all, I want to tell you that I'm sorry for your for Terry, and second of all, I do remember about maybe 2 months ago. I think it was when your mom did her back crap crazy thing, and it was all over the internet and it went viral. And I just gave my recollection of how I saw things growing up. I've known you, God, I think since maybe you were 7 or 8. Spent a lot of time with your family and saw a lot of things, and I talked about them that day. I didn't know that it got back to you.
Yeah, I think somebody sent it to Steve, and then Steve showed it to me, but that's not the reason why I'm calling. I've been watching, and a lot of things about things with my dad have bothered me, because a lot of people don't know. Sorry, I don't want to cry. A lot of people don't.
I feel like I'm gonna cry because I always thought that you probably hated me for my involvement in what I did, and I always thought.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you. I want to tell you that I was down in my dad's gym back. I was down in my dad's gym with him back when they set up the sting operation at the Sand Pearl. And him and David Houston got wired up because somebody was going to try to extort them for the tape. And my dad told me that he knew it wasn't you that leaked the tape. And I've been watching you take the heat for it, and I've been hearing you, say sorry. And I know that, you have a guilty conscience, but my dad told me the real story that, it was your home files, when you got divorced, that you ran down off your security footage thing when Heather had to get all of her stuff out of the house, and he said that somebody's, one of your employees had it, and that they took it from you, and he knew it wasn't you. I want to just apologize, because I know that I know it was not only devastating for me, obviously, because I was the butt of the joke in the tape, but I just watching you talk about everything, and you being however you got your sources being so right, and me being through 25 surgeries with him, and knowing that man's health like a roadmap, as I say. It just made, I could tell that you cared, and I could tell that you were worried, and it pisses me off is that, instead of his people around him telling the truth and being able to get people to pray for him and help him, even though I wasn't in contact with him for certain reasons, there are people, around him that, obviously I didn't want to tangle a-holes with, when a moment like this happened, God forbid, and unfortunately it has.
My life, and not trying to take me out of the equation, but that sand, you can tell I'm a little verklempt here.
Yes, you are.
That Sand Pearl arrest sting happened in December of 12, and had your father, and I'm not, he's dead, and I'm not trying to put any more on his plate, but my life would have been so much different. I wouldn't have lost my job. I wouldn't have, if he would have just let that be known. And it was the truth.
I know.
And I don't understand.
I know.
And so you're the only person that I've ever talked to that has stepped up and said, and I'm almost in tears of your generosity of offering me that information, because it totally.
I just can't watch you beat yourself up. I can't watch you beat yourself up, because for me, you were always my Uncle Bubba, and I know you're known as a shock jock and this and that, but I mean, just you were always so kind to us as children, and so sweet to us, and just had been in our lives so much, and it was devastating to lose you. And I remember talking to my dad down in the gym and being like, well, why can't it just be that you're being extorted by who's really extorting you, who's really trying to extort you? And, he kind of blew it off, whatever. But I didn't really, I didn't really understand all of it. I thought that there was a reason for everything. And I just don't want you to keep beating yourself up over that, because he told me he knew that it wasn't you.
And I tried to get in contact with him, and during the depositions for the Gawker deal, and you know what the office is. He's given me the office for me to make sure I say the right things so that, it can.
He told me that. He told me that. I mean, I know that I just don't understand. There's a lot of things that I don't understand, and a lot of things being revealed to me now that he's gone. Some surprising, some disappointing. But yeah, when I think about it, had it just been the people that were really releasing it, the story could have been the same. The payoff could have been the same. All of it could have been the same. You just didn't have to take the hit. If anything, you did a job for him, and I appreciate you doing that for him. But I just don't want you to live. I just don't want you to live with the guilt. That's what is bothering me. So I just wanted to tell you that.
I don't even, Brookie, I don't even know. I'm a person that talks for a living, and I'm just absolutely, completely locked up. First of all, thank you so much for that information that whether it goes anywhere or not, it certainly makes me
go somewhere.
It makes me, there's Jay. It makes me look less crazy, because everybody thinks that I'm just crazy as a loon and don't want to take a responsibility for my part. But nobody believes me. Nobody's ever believed me when I've reiterated what you said, and to know that Terry knew, because you said after the Sand Pearl he came back to the gym where you were at his house, And to know that he knew as early as December, Jay, you represented me during the Gawker deal.
You know, Brooke, first of all, my condolences to you.
Before this thing.
Yeah, but before my condolences to you is what I want to say. But I apologized to your father at his deposition, at Bubba's deposition for Bubba. And he's known for years, but for you to say that, I just want to thank you myself because I've watched Bubba suffer for years, and this is obviously not about Bubba, but you're the first person that has publicly said what he's been saying for years has been known. And it's just incredible. And so what strength it takes for you. And so thank you.
Well, let me just switch gears a little bit.
I want to do the right. I just want to do the right thing. And there are a lot of people that have, suffered and gotten caught in the crosshairs of our family's BS. And, to me, that was always my Uncle Bubba. I wish I didn't know how. I'm sorry that I called you on the radio. I feel like a total jabroni.
No.
I didn't have any way to get a hold of you.
I look forward, if it's okay, in calling you today and catching up just because you and I don't mean this to sound creepy, and I hope nobody takes it the wrong way, but Brooke and I had such a bond when we were all hanging out, it was. You
taught her B.
I taught. You know what? Lummy, I have for years said it, and now I can get the person on the phone that actually can confirm it. When I saw your autograph, I have many a times, Brooke. Oh my God, I got such a smile on my face. I many a times would be like, "Look at that big B."
You taught me my autograph.
Yeah, we were flying. I don't know. Terry was getting some kind of back procedure, and Brooke and I had to get back to Florida. So Terry let me, be your guardian, and we flew back first class on Delta, and we just didn't really have much to do. I don't know. I don't think we had a movie or anything to watch, and so Brooke was just starting her music stuff, and she's like, "Uncle Bubba, what if I ever have to sign autographs or something?" And I'd be like, "Oh man, you know what? Let's work on and you got a B and I got a B. Let's work on." I mean, we were just like a couple kids, and so she signed it the first time. I'm like, no. You got to make that B bold. Let me show you how I sign mine. And I did mine real big the way I do mine. And by the end of the flight, the 4-hour flight, we had her Brooke Starr autograph dialed in. Did we not? Oh my God, I got such a smile on my face.
I've used it ever since.
and you know what?
I know. I'm trying not to cry.
I got a little tear myself because Bubba's really good with kids. He always has been good with kids. He's been that way to my children. Go ahead.
Yeah, Bubba is. I'm sorry to interrupt. Bubba is and always has been so nice to us, and just was. Really, truly. I watched firsthand. My dad's best friend. Bubba, like you'd run through a burning building for the guy. I would too. I'm sad that I wasn't part of his life, but there are bigger forces at hand that I don't think I'm strong enough to. I don't think I have the powers to go against. So I kind of stepped back. But a lot of things are bothering me. I knew that man's blood.
I
don't understand how you can.
And he always said this about you. And I don't know if a lot of people are going to be able to understand it, but Linda's maiden name, and her family they're the Claridge. And Terry's Pete and Ruthie, they were Boleas. And so Hogan would always say, "Man, I'm telling you right now, Brookie, she's a real Bolea. Now, Nick, he's a Claridge. He takes a shortcut. He's lazy." But Brooke would be, of the two kids, God, I'm reminiscing. I sound like a little bitch. Of the two kids, we would be done. Guess who, Dan? Guess who would come down and work out with us?
Brooke.
Brooke would work out. Nick would be up, I don't know, doing some Fast and Furious stupid game, and Terry would be so mad.
Brooke was the hardest working person in the family.
Oh my God, by far.
She worked all day long.
I just felt bad. I didn't want my dad to work out alone, so he'd come over the pager, and I'd be like, "Nick, are you gonna go?" And I was like, "I'll go," because I felt bad. I didn't want him to beat it because he wanted company or wanted to
So let's
have one of his kids down there.
Let me shift gears if I can, Brooke. And if you don't want to talk about it, you don't have to. But are you doing I fundamentally love you from the bottom of my heart, just like you were my daughter. And I've thought about you every day since the last time we spoke in 11. And I wish this conversation could have happened 10 years ago. But that being said, you have been through, you personally and your family, but more importantly, you're a brand new mom. You just had twins. I think you just got married to a former Pittsburgh Penguin. Really. I think we found out the guy's name and we watched some of his best fights.
Yes, talk about alpha male.
Yeah,
he's a badass.
Yeah, I can't wait to meet the dude. He's a good dude. He seems like a good dude, and I think
I call him Saint Stephen because he's so kind to me.
Hockey players are the nicest men ever. Great husbands, great fathers, and badasses on the ice.
Yeah,
like
nobody's gonna grab
your man.
Nobody's gonna grab Brooks' ass at a bar. No. Their ass with. So anyway,
no.
how I know that you're probably not doing too good. And are you? I mean, are you okay? Are you doing okay? There's a big, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of things have been going on. I had some sources. I think I was maybe the only person that was going on a limb and not necessarily the most popular guy in the media by saying at least fairly accurately what your dad was going through. And I know that when you and him were together a couple years ago and he was going through some procedures, you kept copious notes. I mean, you always did. You always were more up on his health than anybody. Are you okay? Are you gonna be okay? I mean, how are your kids? I know your husband and you are probably good, but are you okay?
I'm okay. I'm conflicted, to be honest. What's hard is the last conversations I had with him. I guess that, me and my husband just keep replaying in our head, and I told my husband, I said, I'm going to put my dad on speakerphone so you can hear what I'm hearing, because I have to have a witness to what I'm hearing. And he was telling me that certain people around him, one business partner in particular, I was in his kitchen after he divorced Jen. And God, that woman was a saint.
Which, by the way, I don't even know that you've heard what I said, but I think I had a short. Can we put on the screen Brooke Hogan on the phone? Can Macho do that?
He's working on it.
Take a little picture of her.
Yeah.
But anyway,
it's already there.
I said, I don't know, a couple. We did a short where I said this wouldn't have happened if he was with Jennifer McDaniel.
Correct.
That woman took care of him when he was in even sometimes worse condition than this, and she was such a good person. And I've always wanted, and I don't know if you know this or not, Brooke, but somebody gave me her number, and I spoke to Jennifer. You probably don't have any idea about this.
Yeah.
And I apologized to her. Because when this whole sex tape thing came down, it was right when they got married, and it had to be the worst thing for a newlywed to have to go through. And I actually got her on the phone for like 10 minutes, and she sounded great. She sounded like she had like a whole new positive vibe about her. And she said, Bubba, I forgive you, and thank you for calling me. It means more than you could, because I've always wanted to apologize to her, because I can only imagine, what something like that would do to a newlywed. I mean, it was a very scandalous, not cool thing, and I was able to apologize to her.
It wasn't just a sex tape, and that's so nice of you. But she went, basically their whole marriage was caught up in lynch drama and lawsuits and part of the divorce. And I mean that divorce went on for 10 years, and then I think my mom sued my dad again, and then it was it was one thing after another, so they never really got a fair shot at having a fun, happy marriage. And like I said, like me and Jen went through all the surgeries together, and we'd take shifts, and that's what has me puzzled, because they're saying, oh, he had leukemia, and I'm like, I saw his blood work every time. One doctor, I quote, said, his blood is like a 25-year-old. I mean, he took the most care of his body and his blood. I mean, he was going to an anti-aging specialist, and would also, just being through all the surgeries, you have to do a blood panel before any major surgery. How did nobody catch, a high white blood cell count? That's what bothers me the most, and I'm like, we don't have cancer that runs in our family. It seems weird.
And then the kidney dialysis curveball, that came out of nowhere.
I've been out of his life, for 2 years, not by choice, definitely not by choice. And it's funny too because I don't think my brother or anybody really understands the conversations me and my dad were having. I mean, getting back to that, there's a business partner of his that I was standing in the kitchen, and one of the last times I saw my dad, he goes, "Well, insert name, effed me over real bad." And I said, "Well, shit, I could have told you that. Mom never liked him, and they've known each other for a long time, and I just never really had a good feeling about this guy." I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, and then just with his dating life, I mean, after Jen, he dated a couple people, and Sky was always super nice to me, but he was expressing some concerns, in that area, just with like how they got along and stuff. And I told him, I was like, "Hey, if you need to end it," I said, "I'll be your fall guy. Just say that I don't like her, or say, whatever. Like, I'm on your side. I'm on your team. Whatever you need from me, like, I got you." And then out of nowhere, it was like he did a 180 and started working with the person he just said screwed him over. And he said, I'm not getting married again. And then literally like 2 weeks later, he got married. It was just a really weird turn of events. And me and him went back and forth on text messages. And I was like, "Dad, like, this is the time for a fresh start. Like, this is the time to make the right decisions. This is the time for you to stop, stop the madness. Like, let's not make another decision that blows our family up again. Let's not make another decision that," I said, "you got more money than God. Let's just ride your boat right off into the sunset." Me and Jen had him in not mint condition, but pretty good. We had him going pretty good. I even told my husband, I said, looking at him now, I said, in my heart of hearts, I could see him living to be, 85-ish. I could see him making it to 85 or something around there. His heart was compromised, but, that valve surgery shouldn't have been the thing that took him out. Opioids would have been, because they slow your breathing, and if you've had a major heart surgery, and I sent over my detailed notes, and on the notes it said no opioids. And he even asked me, like, tell them no opioids, because it would slow his breathing down and he wouldn't have oxygen. And when I heard about acidosis, and I was putting the pieces together just from what you were saying, what I kind of was hearing around, the block, I knew what was going down, and I was like, this is the beginning of the end. And had I been, I caught nurses trying to take pictures with him as he was coming out of anesthesiology, or out of anesthesia. I mean, it's like me and Jennifer literally had to be like, guards. I mean, there were no limits. Nurses would just, try to take pictures with him while he was sleeping, and I caught people double dosing him and getting the medications wrong. I mean, it was tedious, So these last 2 years, I don't know how much work people have been putting in, but me and Jen, did the heavy lifting and had him in a really good spot.
Now, now, Brooke, do you find it? Now, I have Dr. Dan here, and he's familiar with death certificates and autopsies and medical examiner reports, and
Mm-hmm.
that's not the world he necessarily lives in, but he's very familiar with it, and he's like, it is very.
Hi, Doc.
Hey, Brooke. Again, my condolences. Good talking to you. I hope you're doing
God,
well.
Isn't this such a? I mean, God, I'm just. I'm just giddy. I'm sad. I got so many emotions going on. But Brooke, let me ask you a question. So I don't know if you've seen any of the things that I've talked about yesterday. But the medical report was released, and then the St. Pete Times broke it down, and his doctor, was it Fitzgerald, Lummy?
Yeah,
Gerald
Fitzgerald.
Fitzgerald. He did the initial report on what caused the death. And then the medical examiner just took his word for it and said, he didn't do a report. Dan, it says right there on the death certificate, not applicable, meaning there was no case number, meaning the medical examiner did not look at the notes that the regular doctor did, and then the no autopsy. And so, and people think I'm crazy, and this is your father we're talking about, but I don't it's tough for me to say this, but I think that there's a chance there might have been a bad guy in the woodpile. Eric Bischoff said that on Monday he saw Terry, and Terry didn't have any machines there, just a medical bed and a little rehabilitative breathing little like a little thing that you breathe into, just a little thing,
spirometer or whatever.
Yeah, and then Jimmy Hart saw him on Wednesday, less than 18 hours after he died, and Jimmy Hart said he looked good. He looked pretty good. And then
that tells me that the valve replacement, because he had a calcified aortic valve, and this conversation was had like maybe 3 years ago, and the doctor said, it's kind of a last-ditch effort. It'll buy you 10 years, but not more. But let's not do that quite yet. I don't know if it was absolutely necessary to do it. I was kind of the one to do everything holistic or minimal as possible, before going to the last resort. I do think it's weird that no autopsy was performed, because yes, you can have a heart attack, but what was the reason for the heart attack is the question. Because if he was up and doing breathing exercises and stuff, that means that the surgery on his heart was a success and it was working. So, anytime he's going to AFib,
she's breaking up.
Yep, she just said something about AFib and then she broke up.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, can you hear me?
I know you got twins, and you probably. Are they sleeping?
We can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. And the last thing we heard was you said something about AFib.
Oh yeah. So the first thing, if you went into AFib, the first thing that people would want to do, doctors would want to do over at Tampa General, would be either a cardioversion or what's the thing with the burning the nerves? The
ablation.
Ablation,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, ablation, the
and he
cardiac ablation.
he had so many ablations and so many cardioversions. I remember back then praying, "Dear God, please don't let this be the day my dad dies." We were there back then, and he got through all of it. And there was one day we were at home, and he's like, "Oh, my heart, my heart's starting to race. My heart's starting to race." And I kind of was like, "Let's try something different." I said, "Dad, take a Valium." He goes, "Oh, that's not going to work, And I said, "Just take a Valium and just lay down and drink some water and breathe." And I bought him, because we didn't have like an oxygen machine at the house. I actually went on Amazon and I bought like the cans of oxygen that like hikers use when they go up in high altitudes.
Right.
And I said, "Take a hit off the oxygen, take a Valium, lay down, chill." His heart returned back to sinus rhythm. So, so I was like, maybe we're just overdoing it. Like, let's just take it easy, chill out. Like, the less surgeries, the better, is what I always told him. Let's try to keep you out of surgery, because every time you go under anesthesia, that's so hard on your body.
It is.
The no autopsy and the leukemia out of nowhere hits me as BS, because
You never heard that diagnosis before?
She never.
No.
Really?
And I would be surprised that a surgeon would work on somebody with leukemia or somebody that would see a high white blood cell count and not do further investigation first.
Well, you can't put
hardware. The first option is treat the leukemia.
Well, it's a chronic leukemia, and people usually live 10, 15 years with it. But still, you would think it would be contraindicated to put hardware into someone with an elevated white blood cell count. And if he had that chronic leukemia, his white count should have been elevated. So yes, it's bizarre. The bounce back after 4 weeks is bizarre. The fact that he was, walking and talking and getting back to normal, and then the next morning he's dead is bizarre. The renal failure is bizarre. All of it is.
Well, the autopsy report would have also given a toxicology, which what you're saying is he shouldn't have been on narcotics, because you would have told them ahead of time, let's keep him off the narcotics. And so, wouldn't it be interesting to see what's in the toxicology report that's not in existence?
Yeah, listen, this is really, really kabuki. But like, Dan, if you're ported up to do dialysis, like you mentioned yesterday, anybody can stick anything in that port, and you said there's 50 things that somebody could stick in there to kill you.
Yeah,
and I'm not.
Don't even get me going. Don't even get me going. I told my dad. I said, you need to put cameras in your house because I said if you're dating one of these, biatches could push you down the stairs and, nobody would ever know. So I was the one that told him to put cameras in his house actually because after he was done with Jen, I said if you're going to be dating and stuff, somebody could say you touched them or
That's why I had cameras. That's why I had cameras in my house.
Oh my God!
Because I actually had an instance of that when I was single. I had a girl that tried to pull some nonsense like that. So Tom Bean said, "We're putting a camera in your bedroom."
So Brooke, I have a couple questions if it's okay, Bubba.
Yes.
What's your relationship with Sky, with Nick, and with Scientology? I think everyone wants to know those three answers.
That's a loaded question.
Meant to be.
Sky was always really nice to me. Her children were darling. And when my dad was like, I don't know about the 3 kids and this and that, I actually told him, I said, if you're not going to get married again, I said, kids can bring new life to situations. I said, just, enjoy them. If she's got sweet kids, just sometimes kids are funny. And, I thought maybe it would bring some, levity to his life and some lightheartedness, And he told me he was never getting married again. So I was like, well, that's not a worry, and she's nice and she's cool. And, I don't really want to go into too much detail about our conversations, but he was saying, she's pushing the marriage thing real hard. And I said, well, Dad, you don't have to do what you don't have to do. You can, and that's when we had the conversation. And I said, well, why don't you, and he's like, I'm trying to figure out a way, out of this thing, whatever. And I said, well, blame it on me. And he goes, well, if I broke up with her, it'd be really bad. And I said, what do you mean? And he goes, I don't want to get into it, whatever. So, that was the first kind of thing that I was like, what the hell? Why would he say that? So, I don't know, somebody that brought it to our attention that, she was a Scientologist. She said she was a Scientologist, but she said she left. But I started digging a little bit deeper, and she's, and this doesn't mean, trust me, I don't know really much about Scientology, so I'm just, telling you kind of what my digging did.
Right.
She's still in good standings, and when I brought that up to my dad, he goes, oh, well, she just doesn't want to, leave because she still wants her kids to be able to see the grandparents and this and that. Her grandparents are highest level, OT8, I believe, or her parents. And it just, to me, I actually, God bless his soul, I actually called Mike Rinder and talked to him.
Really?
And he didn't have very savory things to say. So I kind of told my dad, I said, listen, this is what I have. I had a friend that was ex-FBI look into the situation, and I was kind of, really going to bat for my dad and saying, hey, you need to be careful. If you want to date her, cool. Just don't get married. Just don't get married. Just, you don't have to. And I was concerned about everything else, too. I was concerned about what happens. He had all of this real memorabilia in the beach shop. The Thunderlips cape was hanging next to the coffee machine in the Orlando location. And I said, Dad, let me take all the stuff. Let me put it in a locked storage unit, temperature controlled. Let's get replicas made and put them on display. Who knows where all that stuff is now that he died? Who knows?
Where's it going to
go? The shop with Who knows? Who knows where all of his beautiful memorabilia is? I don't have one single thing of my dad's. I said, can I have something for my children? Anything, before I had Molly and Oliver, I said, if I ever have kids, I want to remember it. And I said, Dad, I would never sell anything. If your shit ended up anywhere, it would be in the Hard Rock Hotel's glass case or a Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. I said, I would make a Selena movie on you. I would elevate your legacy. I would do whatever I could, and I really just, I had his best interests at hand. And when he got married to Sky, or what happened was he called me and there was a very weird, cryptic, strange message. It reminded me of when people in AA do their steps. And he said, hey, I just wanted to call and say I'm sorry for whatever I did. And I'm like, no offense, but you mean what you said about me on the sex tape? Or like, like you're sorry for whatever you did? I mean, there's a lot of things that we could go through that you've done, including kind of double zombie-dawing my, record deal and stuff too. Like what are we sorry about? And he didn't go into detail, so it was a really vague, like weird thing. And I hung up the phone and I looked at Steve and I said, he's going to marry her. And that's the last time I talked to my dad, because I was like, I just have the heebie-jeebies. I'm just feeling too weird about it, and I had warned him about people around him in business.
I got something that you don't know that I feel maybe I should tell you, but I don't want to upset you.
What?
Because your dad and I were really close. I mean, we were inseparable, and I knew everything. I knew everything. Everything. I knew when him and Linda were having problems. I didn't know about the Christiane deal, but I knew a lot. And I know for a fact, and maybe you can do some digging. I don't know what type of relationship you have with your former record label. I don't know any of this. I haven't spoke to you since 2011.
I reconnected with them, actually.
Well,
I just reconnected with
I know that you think that they let you go on Christmas morning, and that's always been a big kind of a thorn in your side. Do you remember? Let me ask you a question. When you were in Miami, do you remember that they sent the wife? I forget what her name was, but they sent her over to the house with Christmas presents. Do you remember that?
So I literally just, I don't know if you saw the news, but I just re-signed with Sobe because after my dad's passing.
But do you remember? Hold on. But let me ask you a question.
Yeah, I remember that day.
All right. Do you remember how emotional that day was and why it was one of your worst days ever? Do you remember that there was a letter in there from Sobe releasing you from your contract? And again, there's probably 5 people in the world that knows this information, and you're not one of them. And so, do you remember how much that made Christmas suck and how you were just blown away that inside of your Christmas present was a letter saying we're terminating you or something to the effect of getting rid of you? Do you know that your dad is the one that wrote that letter?
What?
That didn't come from Sobe. That came from your father. Because he was trying to blow up your Sobe deal because he wanted to sign Paul White to a boxing contract and do all this other stuff with Cecil, whatever the guy's name is, Cecil, whatever. And he came to me when he was crafting the letter and told me about it, and we didn't, I wouldn't say we didn't talk, but I just said, Terry, you can't do that to Sobe. You can't do that to Cecil. You can't do that to these people. You got to let them, if you don't want her to work there anymore, you got to do it in conjunction with them. You can't play them. And well, let me ask you a question. Am I correct? Did that happen?
Well, I just reconnected with Sobe actually, and went over. I was talking to, his name's Unique, but he went by Stax back in the day, and that was the guy that my dad was talking about on sex tape.
Yeah.
I just reconnected with him, and I told him the story, and I said, I was so upset, and the same night I walked into the Forge in Miami, and I went with Amber Ridinger. And I was like, I was really upset. I mean, I was crying. I was like, and my dad and Cecil used to be boys, like they used to be friends. And I was like, Daddy, you can't be friends with them anymore. I can't believe they would do this. And honestly, Bubba, I didn't know what I did wrong. I mean, to be honest, I was in love with the guy. We really got along well. We did music great together. It was like the most fun I've ever had in my life.
Right.
And
he hated that you guys were together, so he was going to blow it up.
Well, what I think was even kind of the bigger issue was that, and I did not know this at the time, because him and his dad talked. Unique knew about Deanne, and he was told to not tell me. So that I'm trying not to cry. That makes a lot of sense because, exterminate me and Unique, there's no chance of me finding out about Christiane, and he can, after talking to Cecil, I said, what exactly were you doing with my dad? Because, my mom had said something about, she was like, Linda, like, oh my God, your dad, that's stupid. And I was like, I know your dad was in business with my father, and basically in total, Cecil got soaked for $9 million.
Yeah, $3 million. $3 million. Hogan got Big Show $3 million to do this some kind of hair up their ass boxing deal. Bought Big Show a house, got him a trainer, and Big Show was going to be a professional boxer. Then Big Show realized how tough it was, and Cecil got left holding the bag of poop on that too. I mean, but
energy drink or something. But I'm like, don't talk about your investment in my music career when I kind of walked you in the door to investors that spent stuff than mine. So it not that I'm not grateful. I mean, I was telling my husband last night. I said I would not be where I was without my dad. Obviously, he was the catalyst to these things, but also at the same time, the second I got going, it seemed like he kind of pulled the rug out from underneath me. So I don't.
He did.
That's something that I'm grappling with too, is like knowing that truth and also, loving and missing my dad.
Yeah.
But that was my point for the distance though, was that, every time I would try to come in and be the word of advice or the clear thinker, or, as Ashley, my best friend, says, you were his mirror, and he didn't want to look in that mirror. You reminded him of Linda. You reminded him of his mistakes. You reminded your secrets he was keeping from you, whatever it was. And what my dad doesn't know is no matter what he ever did, I would forgive him for, and I would love him. He didn't even tell me what the N-word was about. He said, I need you to just defend me. Somebody caught me saying the N-word. And I just went out there like a fool. Like, my dad was probably just joking or quoting quoting a Chris Tucker movie. And my friend in Nashville was like, Brookie, I don't think you realize how bad it is. He's talking bad about you, and it's a sex tape, and he's talking about you and your boyfriend. And instead of I was just so young and gullible, instead of, making a retraction statement or whatever, I was just too afraid. My family's powerful and they're scary, and I was just too afraid to speak up, So there's a lot of things that I'm grappling with. It's like one half of my brain is like, that's my daddy. I love him and I miss him. But I am at peace with the fact that he literally said to me when I said, Dad, I'm really concerned. This was the first time I really laid it out to him. I was like, this, and this, and this. I don't feel good about it. And he literally said, on my children's life, my husband heard it. He goes, well, I guess you have to live your life and I have to live mine. Mm. And that was kind of the end of that. And I said, well, screw me then, I guess, trying to watch out for you. And I've put in the, 15 years with Jen and, been there, watching the nurses and doing the 16-hour shifts and, going back and forth. And I've done everything to help the guy that I possibly could and genuinely loved him. I mean, naturally, you're biologically wired to love your dad and your mother.
Well, you two always had a special bond. If you look at any of Hogan Knows Best promo photos, it's always Hogan and Brooke, and then Nick and Linda. You two were always, always at photo op together. And let me ask you a question.
It just makes me sad because I just don't know what was ever real, because all of those things took place over a course of years, and I don't know how, when doing those things to somebody, you could look them in the face, pretend like nothing's wrong. I don't even know how you could get away with those things and not be nervous that somebody's going to question you. But nobody questioned him ever, So, I mean, he just kind of was in control, I guess, But regardless, I loved him. I loved him so much. But when he entered this world of what Mike Rinder had warned me about, and I was now pregnant with twins and married, and my husband's family is so kind and so sweet, and I have something to lose. Money didn't matter. I was like, take me off everything. And I was sobbing. When I wrote the text to Terry McCoy, the guy that manages his money. I was sobbing, and I just said, take me off everything. I don't want to be a part of it, because I knew in my mind this is how the math was going to work out. If Sky is a Scientologist, which apparently she's still in good standings, but she says she left. It's not for me to judge. She was always nice to me. I have no problem with Sky. But if she was a Scientologist, I know that that's a very powerful backing. And then I thought, oh my God, if I get left any money, or if Nick gets left any money, no offense, but my mom has been known to kind of find herself in the mix with, things like that. And I'm like, I don't want to fight Linda. I don't want to fight Scientology. I don't want somebody that I love to get knocked off. I don't know how deep this stuff goes. It scared me. And I just said, I want out. And I hoped that my dad, and it was never about money. I had hoped that my dad at least trusted me with his IP, like his intellectual property and his trademarks and stuff, because like I said, I would have done the right thing and upheld his, I would have made him an Elvis legacy, or a Marilyn Monroe legacy, or a Selena legacy. And I hope that whoever has his marks does that. I just know that the people around him are pretty shady and not in his best interest. I was pretty mad. I wrote someone in that camp a pretty scathing text message saying, nobody's telling him to sit down. Everybody's there for a paycheck. Everybody is there egging him on because you guys are getting paid. And I said, nobody said, Dad, sit down. You don't need to be doing this. Everybody's egging him on. Everybody's pumping his ego, and I said, it's killing him.
Let me ask you a question. Is it true that you asked him to walk you down the aisle and he wouldn't?
Yes. I was with Steve in his living room at the El Dorado house, and I said, Daddy.
Oh, she's cutting out.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. So you said you're at the El Dorado house, and you said
yeah,
Daddy.
Yeah, we were at the El Dorado house. We were sitting in the living room. My dad knew we were going to get married because Steve had to ask him. And what's really sad is when Steve asked him, he said his response was, just as long as you guys are good together, I'll never do it again. And I asked my dad, I said, Dad, for real, if you had to go back in time and, have kids, would you do it? Because me and Steve were thinking about having kids. And he said, no. So that kind of broke my heart, but I was like, all right, he's being honest. Maybe he had his reasons or whatever, so no big deal. But I asked him, I said, hey, we're not going to do a big thing. It's just going to be me and Steve. You don't have to run into Linda. Nobody has to be there. I said, we're doing it really, really private in Orlando. But I said, the one person that I would love there, just because it's tradition, would be you. I was like, well, I want you to walk me down the aisle. And he goes, nope, that's not me. I don't do weddings. I don't do funerals anymore. I said, Dad, even for me? He goes, nope, you guys have fun. You got my blessing, but I'm not, you can't get me to leave the beach.
Wow.
Was his thing. You can't get me to leave the beach thing. I guess it just, maybe he was just so jaded from marriages that it was just like,
yeah, but hold on.
You guys
can be you can be jaded from marriages, but Brooke, you're his flesh and blood. You're his firstborn. You are his you are his daughter. You are, oh my God, there's so many things that you are that, he used to go to TNA 3 times a week in Orlando. Driving over to Orlando is not a big deal. And I'm sorry for you. That's.
I read text messages. Steve wasn't telling me. And at first I was kind of, I had some heat with Steve because I was like, why didn't you tell me you were texting my dad this whole time? And he goes, well, I didn't want to hurt you. I was just kind of gauging, where he was at. And he said, you can read him if you want. And he turned the phone over to me. We were at lunch, a couple days ago. And Steve wrote him the nicest text messages. Brooke loves you so much. I would love to mend fences. You just tell me how, for you to see the babies. At one point, I think he said, hey, you guys are in Jacksonville. We're an hour and a half away, and it was like, no, we just fly to we take private, we just get in, get out, whatever. And it was just like every single text message was just met with like, cool, thanks. All right, cool. Let me know. And Steve told him, Brooke almost died on the table. Like, she hemorrhaged. She had, 2.5 liters of amniotic fluid, which, Dan, I know, if amniotic fluid enters your blood, you're instantly dead. So having a lot of amniotic fluid is a big, big danger. And I also lost 2.5 liters of blood, and they couldn't.
So hold on. We're talking about when you gave birth, you had these complications?
Yeah, I had a C-section. Yeah, I had these complications, and I had my right arm completely rigged, full of my IVs and stuff. So they were going to do a blood transfusion, and when they hit my left arm, they blew my vein. And the nurse was like panicking because I was going out. I was a goner. They hit me with blood pressure medicine 3 times.
Scary.
And I said, Doc, just in my Terry thing, just like my dad, I said, hit me with it one more time, brother.
Hit me with it one more time. Give me one more gimmick, brother.
Give me one more gimmick, brother. And he goes, I can't. There's no more blood to compress. There's no more blood. Like we have to give you a blood transfusion. And by the grace of God, he looked at my cervix. When you go to get a C-section, they don't look up your coochie.
Right.
They're just like, we're taking the babies out from underneath your belly button. No big deal. Cut, snip, snip. They're out. And he looked at my coochie and he said, she's 2 centimeters dilated. Actually, I was actually already in labor. I didn't even know that because I was so outstretched that I didn't realize, but I was already 2 centimeters dilated. And there's this new invention, I think, called a Jada, and you stick it up in your uterus and it starts sucking your uterus down because my uterus wouldn't contract and the hemorrhage wouldn't stop. So it was sucking blood and whatever. And they wheeled me into post-op. They had me stabilized. And he goes, if you keep bleeding like this, we're going to do a blood transfusion. And I go, bleeding like what? And he held up a clear bucket that looked like what a kid took to like the beach. And he goes, this is what you lost in the last 10 minutes. And I'm like, oh, well, it's weird. I feel fine. He's like, it's all the, anesthesia in your spine and it's all the blood pressure medicine and you're just loopy from losing so much blood, but like, you're really not okay. Like you could drop dead any second. So just letting you know, you signed the consent form. If we need to hit you with it, we're going to hit you with it. So,
now Terry,
luckily
did Terry know about all that?
Yeah, Steve told him. I mean, it was public knowledge, too. I kind of mentioned it in one of my Instagram posts. But I will say I got to thank my dad for his blood because we both have really basically thick blood. We're iron rich. So in our family runs something called hemochromatosis, which is iron overload.
Just like Bubba.
And I have so much iron in my blood.
I have the same thing.
I have so much iron in my blood. I'm like, that's probably what saved me was that thick-ass Bolea blood, So, I have a lot of things to thank for my dad. I'm trying to remember the good times. I'm trying to also digest the information and more betrayal and more things that I've been finding out, like what you mentioned.
Yeah. I didn't mean to hit that with you. I just wanted to let you know.
No, it's okay. It makes sense though, because Cecil goes, you were always a Sobe artist. Like you never left. And I was like, really?
No.
And it hit me weird when he said that, so that makes a lot of sense. I'll ask him about that. But, I thought it was weird that it was a letter inside of a Christmas present. It was like he would have emailed me.
He walked me. He walked me right through how he was going to do it and everything. And I'm like, Terry,
you didn't talk him out of it?
You couldn't talk him out.
Yeah, like, what the hell, Bubba?
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Here's
Uncle
your gift.
Bubba, thanks a lot.
Listen, Brooke,
No, but I know that he was very influential on the people around him, and I know that it was like he had this magical way of seeing you and kind of dragging you into the plane, so to speak. And that's the one thing too with Linda. She's got this deep hatred for me, and it's like, listen, I wasn't just on Dad's side. I knew how many times Dad cheated on you. I knew the damage he did. Anybody that went through that much cheating, between Kate Kennedy, Corey Everson, Christiane, Heather, whatever it was, I know it would drive somebody insane. Why she stayed? For me, as a person of integrity, I wouldn't have stayed. I would have said, you cheated on me once, I'm leaving you. But she had a lot more at stake, so it's like I don't know her reasons I wasn't in her shoes. But Perez Hilton goes and writes, I do an interview with Perez Hilton, and he titles it, "My Mom Does Drugs," which I did not say. If you watch the interview, I didn't say that. But, she is so quick to react. Ever since then, it's been like she's waged war. And I'm like, the only reason that I haven't hung out with you is because every single time you end up tearing me a new one. And I don't even know what I did wrong. So it's
God,
like
I'm having a flashback.
That's my whole thing. I'm
having a flashback of your childhood, of many a times when we would be out and you'd be getting a business, she'd be giving you the business, and you would literally say, "I don't even know what, Mom." Like you're like 11 or 12 at this time. You're like, "Mom, I don't even know
what did I do?
Why are you kicking me in the shin with your high heels?" And then Hogan would be like, "Linda, knock it off." And but Brooke would have like a gig mark on her shin, and it would be bleeding. Jeez. And Linda was good with one bottle of wine. Linda, fun as hell. You start getting on bottle 2, it starts getting a little bit sketchy. It starts getting sketchy. So anyway, listen.
I'm like trying to choose what to say, but I just, and my thing too, like, she just posted an AI video of me, like, look at what Brooke says at our family. I'm like, it's AI. Like, I'm not that evil. Please stop attacking me. Like, I love my mom. There's a lot of great things about her. A lot of great things my dad fell in love with. A lot of great things that you've seen her at her best, Bubba. She's the bomb.
She's a hell of a woman, and a lot of and I got to tell you, I got to give her credit. I really do. I'm not going to sit here and bury her all the time, but I got to tell you, a lot of Terry's success was her ability. She was a marketing. She's the one that came up with the ripped T-shirt. He was more on track business wise with her when they were dialed in than ever before.
He was more on track in life with her. She had the best common sense. I tell my husband all the time, I'm like, all the sayings I have, my woman's intuition, the way that I do things, it's all my mom, And I just wish so badly, and I had so many conversations with her. I know she was devastated over my dad, but I was like, Mom, like, start yoga while you're young and beautiful. Like, just you settled with a good amount of money. Like, invest some of it. Like, we've had these talks multiple times. I'm like, just like, start doing yoga, get into Pilates, like, go buy a mansion in Malibu and marry some hot realtor, like, whatever. Just
not some guy that went to high school with you.
All right. And God bless Charlie. That poor kid, he didn't even know what he was getting himself into. It's funny because
he had to bolt up to Big Thick.
Jeez.
Hey, Brookie, listen, we could talk forever, but I am literally, I
forgot.
Oh no. What's that? You there?
I feel bad. I'm just having a private conversation with you. I forgot that we're actually on the air. So
that's amazing.
I just got to tell you.
But I'd love to talk to you more.
Can I get your number can I put you on hold and get your number? And this has been such an unbelievable red letter day for me to be able to reconnect with you, to find out that you don't hate me, that you understand how things went, and thank you for forgiving me. And thank you so much for calling. I'm a lost for words of your kindness and setting the record straight and giving us some insight as to what went down and what's going down. And I know you have 2 beautiful children, one of which I think your daughter, his middle name is after your father, Molly Jean, I think it is. And I look so forward to talking to you in private. We're going to be like a couple little bitches gossiping, but thank you. You know what?
I'm going to probably cry when I see you.
Thank you so much for reaching. I would have never connected with you had you not reached out, and I'm so thankful for that. And
I had to call in like a jabron.
I know you're on the. She's on the jabron line. She's on the jabron line. Listen, babe, I love you. I love you so much, and I love your family. I love your new family, and I did love your dad. I really did, and
I know you were a very.
Oh.
Breaking up again.
She's hit that bad spot.
I mean, no, I was getting ready to get a high spot from her, and she broke up on me.
No, even though you were known as a shock jock, you were always Uncle Bubba to me, and you always had a heart of gold. And I'm sorry for everything that you went through, and that you've been kind of beating yourself up over this. But know that I know the truth. My dad knew the truth, and you were always so kind to us as children and stuff. So I'm looking forward to reconnecting with you, and I hope that you're okay now, and seems you're doing good. You've got a radio show again, so that's good.
I do. I got one. We're doing really good digitally, and we got like 4 or 5 affiliates. We're doing well, and my family's doing good. I got a good girl in my life. So I can't wait to tell you all about it. I love you so much. Tell your husband thank you for being so good to you and being I'm sure he's a great father, and he is. I so look forward to talking to you. I'm going to literally get off the air and as fast as I can call you just to keep talking to you. So.
Oh, well, I love you, and thank you for being so good to us as kids and being good to my dad. And trust me, I know in my heart who you are, and I appreciate, everything you did for our family and for me with my music, and for my dad with whatever he needed. I mean, you were really the GOAT. So I appreciate you.
Hey, you have a great day. Take care of those kids, and I'll talk to you later today. Okay, Brookie?
Thank you, Uncle Bubba.
I love you.
Love you. Bye.
Wow. Oh my God.
Thank you, Uncle Bubba.
Does that lift weight off your back, Bubba? Make you feel good?
I'm almost ready to cry.
I did a little bit, Bubba, and she just verified everything you've been talking about for 12 years, 13 years. I can't even believe it. I'm blown away. What a wonderful young woman she is. That was insane. I just can't even believe it. I can't even believe it.
I'm gonna do commercials.
And he knew, Bubba.
I know. I'll do some commercials, okay?
Yep.
If you want a deep dive into the Bubba the Love Sponge show from the past, go to BubbaArmyHQ.com. We'll be back after these words.
Broadcasting live from the Aquabito studios, aquabito.com/Bubba. It's the Bubba the Love Sponge show.
Live from Columbus, Indiana. I've known him since 2000. Such a good friend of mine. And I actually, I'm just trying to let me lean on some of my friendships, like, Dion and Tony and when I see Tony and these guys do all these podcasts from these people that don't have near the numbers that we do. And I'm like, I'm just going to ask some of my friends to start coming on the air a little bit more, and starting with Tony. So I texted Tony last week. I'm like, hey man, give me some dates, bro. And then he gave me some dates, and then he got a little bit busy. And then I think he was actually sitting in bed with his wife, and I think he said, Leah, I was supposed to do Bubba this week. And so him and Rico reached out to me. So welcome, T. How you doing, buddy?
I was panicked, Bud. I'm good, by the way. But yeah, I was panicked. I looked over at Leah and I'm like, holy, I think I screwed up and missed the show that I was supposed to be on with Bubba. So,
and Leah is, I got to tell you, in the history of your and I's friendship, she's the first person you've been with that actually doesn't hate me.
Well, it's because she's as screwed up as we are.
Yeah.
It's hard to hate anything at that point.
She is so cool. My God. She's like a man. And I don't mean that disrespectfully, but she's wired like a man. She really is.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's like hanging out with one of your frat buddies that just looks really smoking hot.
I know. I remember the first time I met her a couple of years ago in Gainesville, and it was like literally I didn't have to tiptoe around any subject matter. We could be ourselves. I think we were actually talking about I don't even think I know I can even bring up what we were, but we were talking about like total guy stuff, like total guy sexual stuff. And she was just like, yeah, like she was just part of the deal, like whatever.
Yeah, she can run, Bud. That's the best thing about her. She, I remember going on our first date, and it started in Gainesville, and we ended up going to Bike Week. And I knew by the end of the night that over the course of the history of my entire life and what I've done, that date was a way different date than anything I'd ever been on with anybody else. So that was kind of the first indication that, hey, something's different about this girl, something special about her, and we gotta pursue this a little more.
One of the things that was different about her is that she was probably the only person. I know that you dated that Jessica chick, but she couldn't drive worth a lick. But it was the first person that you ever dated that was a true motorsport enthusiast and could, on your level, be a competitive. Be competitive and a different, obviously a different type of motorsport, but one now that is not as easy as it looks, and so one of my Leah stories is when 2 years ago in Gainesville, when she was still driving before you guys had Dominic, she had a hell of a run. I think she was like maybe P6, and she came back from a qualifying run, and like a lot of the prima donnas, I don't know if Justin Ashley's a prima donna or Doug Coletta or Anton Brown, but Leah gets out of the car, goes up to the personal area a little bit, takes her helmet off, maybe wipes off some sweat. Then she goes to working on the car. She starts packing her chutes. She starts putting nitro in the car. And I'm like, wow, she's not, she's not a Danica Patrick or anybody like that you have to handle with kid gloves. When I saw her packing her own chutes, I'm like, that chick's for real.
Yeah, she is. It's, and that's a big deal to her. I never even thought about it because I started dating her and I was the plus one, and I'm the trophy wife that's standing in the doorway of the trailer, in everybody's way and stuff and watching. But, I actually got to where, I remember we went out to a race in, I don't know, we had 2 races. There was one though that I worked the whole day and I was mixing fuel for her. I didn't pack chutes. I still don't pack my own chutes. It's like, that's the one thing that if only one thing on the car has to work right at the end of the day, I want those damn parachutes to come out. Cause that is stop, or that is ram into a massive oversized ski net on steroids.
Oh my God. And then the same, and you completely, not only might you die, but what's a rail cost? $200,000-$300,000? What's a rail cost?
Probably about that. Even more once you get all the stuff on it, and when you send one in the sand trap, especially if it gets into the net and starts,
it's done.
You're hundreds of thousands of dollars.
If those things even get bent a little bit, just because everything's so symmetric, if a rail even gets, like, let's say, you had a little scrape against the wall, just a little one, but you're going 315 miles an hour, just a little nick against the wall probably gets it all out of whack, doesn't it?
Well, they definitely have to measure it and make sure it's square. If it's bent the least little bit, then it's compromised in their eyes, and which is smart. These cars, the dragsters, when you hit the gas, will actually arch
oh yeah,
up.
You can see them flex.
They're going down the track, so they're designed to do that. But if a tube or something's compromised from touching anything, or even Leah's car, if you think back to when Leah's car literally folded in half.
That was a bad wreck. And I can't believe. I've seen guys not walk away from that kind of stuff. The one she did.
And she didn't, and that wasn't because she hit something to run before. She literally got a gust of wind at St. Louis that made the car kind of make a big move. And honestly, the team, and I had been hanging around the team for a little while. They didn't even know to look at the chassis to see if anything was compromised. But when she made that next run, it was very apparent that what had happened in that first run had created damage, and then it was catastrophic. The car literally folds in half like a lawn chair.
Oh, we got that. What so far? What's been the sketchiest that you've had so far in rail? Like, what's been? I know we could go through your sprint car stuff, we go through your NASCAR stuff, but with rail, and you've been lucky. It's not lucky, but you've been fortunate so far not to really have a John Force or something like that type moment. But there has had to be a couple sketch moments, where you've had to pedal it. People don't realize, man, you got a lot of times you'll see those butterfly valves, open up, close, open up, close, open up, close. What's been your sketchiest so far?
Honestly, I think the one that stood out the most was we were running at Bristol, and I think we were in the semifinals, and I was in the right-hand lane, and at about 600 feet, we cut a left front tire down.
Oh, man.
At 300 miles an hour.
Yeah. And those things are about that wide. I mean, they're just teeny tiny.
Yeah. But they hold like 95 pounds air in them or something like that. And when it went down, I was in the right-hand lane and it started pulling me left to the center line. And so it was kind of sketchy.
Did you throw the chutes immediately, or without it upset you?
I got it to the line.
You pedaled it?
But I had I just stayed in it and just kept steering it. But you're steering the thing to the right and steering it to the right, and it's not coming back to the right. I probably got it square, but I had this much wheel in it. My hands are turned like this versus straight. Just to go straight was like this.
Like you're driving a 410 non-wing, you're just you're just straight, right?
But I would say that was, and then, you watch these explosions when the motors blow, and you don't realize how violent it is. And I had 3 of those moments in Norwalk, Ohio, before we did the West Coast swing. And I kept asking Leah when I got back to the pit, I'm like, why do these guys keep asking if I'm all right? I'm like, they've never seen a sprint car crash, obviously.
Right.
Until I went to Seattle. In Seattle, we blew one in the second round, I believe, of competition. And when it blew, it went big time. And literally, the doctor diagnosed me with a mild concussion after that.
Oh, really?
I had to chill out the rest of the week because we ran Sonoma the next weekend. Had to chill out during the week and then wait to get cleared by the NHRA doctor just to compete at Sonoma. So it's like you watch it on TV and it looks easy. You think, the track goes straight. You just hold it straight and you mash the gas. There are so many more things that are going on with procedures and what the car's doing. And you're never not driving those cars. You just don't hold the wheel straight and mash the gas. It's going to always move around a little bit and you got to be ready for it. But when moments like that happen, you have no clue how violent it is inside the car. And when I had asked Leah that at Norwalk a couple weeks before that, I said, why do they keep checking on me? And she goes, well, watch your head in the slow-mo. And when that thing pops, it's like somebody hits you in the back of the head with a baseball bat. Your head goes wham into the tethers on the head and neck restraint. So I just didn't, it's anytime you're doing something new, you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
So until it happens, you don't know how to react to it, to compensate, and B, what it's going to feel like. So in that moment, it's like, that's when I got out at Seattle and the NHRA doctor was there. And I'm like, now I know why you guys ask every time if we're all right, because it's way more violent than what people feel.
Oh, the one, there's several different sports, like for instance, the hand-eye coordination. If you, like you and I took you to a Lightning game, and, hockey is another sport that unless you see it in person, the hand-eye coordination of those guys. And, another thing that TV doesn't do any justice is that after you take the green at the Daytona 500, after you take the green and you got that first lap to wind up, and then when you come around for lap 2, it's like a herd of buffalo. Like, you cannot explain, because you're all packed up. You got 40 of them, and they're all, just inches apart. And that's another thing that TV doesn't do any justice. And then the very top of the list is, if you're fortunate enough, like me, or or even the guy sitting in row 50 at the launch line, the violence of the Top Fuel night, the funny cars and the rails, television doesn't do it any justice. And the first time I saw it, I was like, there's a human being in there that's like in a rocket, literally in a rocket, and there's a human being in there that's under 12,000 horsepower going 0 to 300 in 2 seconds. And you just television, and I don't know that you can really appreciate the athleticism and the violence of drag racing unless you go. And the good thing, and I will tell you this, having gone to NASCAR and obviously short track racing it puts you, you're very famous for when you ran 410s and when you ran USAC in your early career. You're a stiffy on people coming up during the race and asking for an autograph, but you'll stay. I've seen you stay 3 hours before and sign every autograph at a dirt track. So dirt tracks are kind of a lot like NHRA, where the fans can get so close to the driver, and there's probably 5-6 different times that you're going out to the stanchions and spending time with the fans, and the fans can literally get within 5 or 6 feet of that back wheel when you guys are starting them up and warming them up, and it's such a great value, and you can get so close to your favorite drivers. It's just such a really good vibe. Now, NHRA, those are some crooked bastards on how much they charge you and Randy from Skag, and I'm not going to quite get into all that because I do know the financials of all that, and I just wish that they were way more fair to you guys on that's a Gestapo in itself. But talking about the actual drivers and how accessible you guys are, you're always going over to the merch trailer. I would, if anybody that's listening or watching this show has never been to an NHRA show and you like motorsport, whether it's dirt track, asphalt track, NASCAR, USAC, and you've never been to an NHRA event, it's an eye opener. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, an absolute eye opener.
Yeah, it really is. It's I think that's what makes unique, or what makes NHRA unique from, even aside from dirt track. Even the fans at a dirt race, they can come down after the race is over from the grandstands. Now there's people that have to pay extra money to buy a pit pass to be down in the pits and be that close. And like you say, when we're down there at a sprint race, Kyle Larson's a good buddy of mine. We park next to each other numerous times at the dirt races, and Kyle has a different philosophy than I do. Kyle, if he's got 30 seconds to do it and there's people outside, he'll go do it to knock it out and get it done to where when the races are over, he doesn't have as long a line, and then he can go home. I'm the other way. I can't even outrun Kyle Larson in this one. I've got to pay attention to what the hell I'm doing.
Yeah.
And
you're over there trying to steal a setup.
Well, I'm over trying to look at the racetrack and make sure I know what's going on and this and that. But I was always better about being focused on the racing during the racing, and then after it was over, I'm done racing and just being with the fans. So that's the difference with NHRA, is that we're not on track like we are a cup car for 3.5 hours.
Right.
We go to the staging lanes. We might be in the staging lane 20 minutes or 30 minutes, depending on what's going on. You get in the car. When it's our run, we're from the time they fire it up and start the motor till the time that we turn off is a little over 2 minutes total time. So you're really doing something for only a couple minutes, and then you get out and you tow back, and then you start the process of rebuilding the motor and everything. But it does give us a lot of time to spend with the fans at the pit, at the car, and you can't get that access anywhere else. People still ask me, hey, can you help me get garage passes? I'm like, for what?
Yeah, you don't know.
To watch the crew guys push a car around and go to tech, because they don't even, it's not like it used to be where we had an hour of practice and cars are driving in and out of the garage and you get to see what's going on. You don't get to see anything at a NASCAR race anymore.
No, NASCAR has done it to themselves too.
Yeah. But it was, and that was kind of during COVID, that shift happened. It was trying to simplify everything. And this is to NASCAR's credit. I mean, they were trying to make sure everybody could stay in business. So they literally changed their procedures to accommodate making the load as light as they could make it, but still put on a good product. So it wasn't against NASCAR on that necessarily, but it's just kind of changed to where, you got Jim France running it now. And Jim France is a great guy, super great guy, but he has got a big hold and a big love for road racing and sports car racing. So the sports cars don't drive in and out of the garage. They tow them out to pit road, and then they do their practice sessions from pit road and tow them back. Well, that's exactly what we're doing with NASCAR now.
Right.
Take the cars to pit road. Nobody's driving in and out of the garage.
I think NASCAR, and of course you're a really good friend of mine, and I'm very biased to you, but NASCAR hasn't been the same since you left. From all the changes they've made, to choking the cars down. I know probably you getting out of that arena has been probably one of the best decisions you ever made, because it was killing you. It was literally killing you. Towards the last part of the last couple of years, they had made it so that almost anybody with any type of motor skill could drive those things. They've choked them down so much. They made them so tight. And, they've made them so templated. And it might as well be IROC is what it might as well be. And it's just not what it used to be. It's not what you grew up on. It's not what you cut your teeth on. And I think, in my opinion, here I am, back in the day, 15, 20 years ago, I would know who was fast guy on practice. I would know who's sitting on the pole. I would know where they're racing. I would know where they're going to be next week. I would know the standings. I would know who's mad at who. I would know which manufacturer was doing good. And quite frankly, for $50 million, I could not tell you where they're racing this weekend. I couldn't.
Yeah. Well, if it makes you feel any better, I can't either. I've literally seen one NASCAR race this year, and that was because my mom and stepdad came down, and my stepdad put it on TV, and it happened to be the Sonoma race, and Sonoma's my second favorite track that we ran on the NASCAR circuit.
Which was your last track that you won at, too, wasn't it?
Yeah, that too.
Where you doored? I think you doored Clint, didn't you?
No, Denny Hamlin.
Oh, Denny Hamlin.
If you guys really want to know, it's Watkins Glen this weekend.
Oh, well, we could care. But hold on.
I'm not going to use.
But hold on. You were good. You were good there too, buddy. You were good at the Glen. You were good at the Glen.
It's odd because there's been a lot of fans, and especially the ones that are road race fans. I won twice as many races at Watkins Glen as I did Sonoma, but I liked racing at both of them, obviously, but there was something about Watkins Glen had long enough straightaways that you would get your work done, leaving the corner, and you had time to relax and, take a break, and you might have a shift or two in the middle of that, but you had a lot of time to relax. Sonoma is just one of those tracks that was really a finesse track, and you really had to be easy on the throttle. The asphalt was worn out, which they just resurfaced Sonoma not too long ago, but it was one of those tracks that you had to really get in a rhythm, and there were only a couple opportunities per lap to take a break, and it was literally a second to 2 seconds that you might get a break where you're just not doing something. And I guess that's one of the reasons I really like Sonoma better.
Were you a heel toe guy? They make a big deal. No, you were not. You were a left. You were a 2-footed. I guess left foot on the brake wheel. Right foot gas.
Yeah, it's the transmissions were so good in the Cup cars that once we left pit road in first gear, you literally didn't have to use the clutch anymore. But you had to be savvy on kind of being able to hear the RPM and knowing. We have shift lights for the upshifts,
right.
You can get in troubles on the downshifts if you downshift too early, if you downshift too late, but having to match the gears. And the transmissions were pretty forgiving on that. It made it very easy to, if you missed it by a couple RPM, it wasn't like you were going to get in trouble with the gearbox. But you literally could shift up and down without having to use the clutch in them.
And when you were in Cup, you were one of the top. You were when they talked about road racers, you were in that conversation. You were one of those. You were a road racer. Not only did they have to worry about you, at Richmond and everywhere else, but when they're like, okay, well, the 20 or the 14, whatever car you're in, he's going to be good here. Wasn't Watkins Glen where you and Jeff Gordon got into it?
I think it was. Actually.
I think it was.
I tried to chase him in his trailer.
You were full hot on him, and I really thought there was going to be a hook out. I really did.
No, there wasn't. He was standing on the other side of his car by his trailer door, like he had 2 feet to get to safety, and he knew it. So
what were I call him the Rainbow Warrior?
What were you the most mad? I think the most mad you were is when Logano ran you down, and then Maddie set you up for a softball question, and then you're like, I'm going to whip his ass when I see him. Remember that one?
Yeah, he and I will say this about Joey. Joey did a lot of stuff in his early years of his career that not only myself but a lot of people didn't like. Fast forward now to current times, and there's still a lot of people that don't like Joey, but I know Joey a little better, and Joey races different now than he did back then. But what people don't know and don't see is all the positive things Joey Logano does off the racetrack that he never does it to get any credit. He doesn't want anybody necessarily knowing he's doing it, but Joey does a lot for a lot of people in motorsports. On top of that,
do things change in NASCAR, Tony, when you go from being a rookie, fresh-faced rookie, racing against Dale Senior and racing against Walt, those when you were first got in, and then you become kind of the elder statesman towards the last part of your career, where it's you and Jimmy Johnson and the elder statesman, so to speak. Does things change for you at that point? Like do the young kids come up to you in the garage if you're not brake cleaning their ass with a flame retardant? But I mean, when you progress through NASCAR as a rookie to the elder statesman to a 3-time champion, do things change for you in the garage?
I think a little bit. I mean, obviously, when you go to places that some of these guys haven't been to, if they didn't have teammates that could help them, some of the young guys would come talk to you about it. But man, I mean, you want to talk about how time changes and how the eras change and this and that. I mean, I came into the Cup Series when Dale Earnhardt Sr. and Rusty Wallace and Jeff Burton, Ward Burton, Terry Labonte, think Mark Martin, I mentioned, Dale Jarrett. You had all these true badass men that were driving race cars.
And you were a kid, and they were men. They were men.
They were men's men too.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
They weren't just guys that just showed up with their helmet and got in the car and then got in their fancy jet and went home. I mean, these guys knew about their cars, had worked on their cars. Bill Elliott teaching his son Chase how to work on them. I mean, you had guys that truly had grown up the hard way to work their way into the Cup Series. And then as time goes on, the drivers are getting younger and younger coming in because, NASCAR started this Young Guns program. So they started promoting all these young guys. And it's like, to me, it's like, you'll watch an NFL game and you get excited about it. You go to aside from going to Oklahoma and Texas, where they get more fans at a high school football game than they do at an NFL game.
Right.
Most places you go on a Friday night to a football game, a high school game, and nobody gives a crap.
Right.
They don't know. They don't want to go watch a 17 or 18-year-old kid play football. Well, it's the same thing in racing now. We've crammed all this getting younger to get these guys in cars. The guy that works a blue-collar job and works, 8 a.m. till 5 every day, 5 days a week, doesn't give two shits about these young guys. They don't have a story.
Well,
they don't have.
And the young guys, a lot of the young guys didn't, grow up at age 6 driving the Dairy Queen go-kart at Bartholomew, track. A lot of these kids have sim raced, for however long, and then their dad writes, like the Kosofer kid, or their dad writes a big check. I think rent a ride, but listen, as you being an owner, a former owner, just recently, just a couple, you have to almost, even though rent a ride is not necessarily good for the sport, as a business, always trying to get sponsors and stuff. If you got somebody that's willing to pay $5-6 million for a Cup ride, or $2.5-3 million for an Xfinity ride, they've taken
turn your head to it.
Yeah, you just can't. You just can't. I mean, I think I don't know if this has ever been said, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful because I know you work with her, but I think Danica's one of her big draws were not necessarily her talent, is that she was absolutely a advertiser's darling, and you owned the team when she drove for you, and it was like she paid for herself and then some.
So it took me back to even before Danica came into our program, because I had a lot of people ask, why did I hire Danica? But before that, I had a kid that his father, when I had my USAC teams in Brownsburg and was running, 2 midget teams, 2 sprint teams, 2 Silver Crown teams.
Levi and all the guys.
Yeah, exactly. But when I had that, I had a guy that his son, he came to me and wanted me to run him in one of our cars. And bless the kid's heart. I mean, he had the desire. He worked hard at it, but he just wasn't going to make it. And he crashed a lot, tore up, destroyed a lot of cars driving for us. So I always said after that moment, I wasn't going to hire somebody. I wasn't going to let myself get in a position as a team owner to where I had to rely on somebody bringing money to drive our cars. So then that fast forwards to Danica Patrick, and everybody goes, well, you hired her because, she brought GoDaddy and they wrote a big check. And I'm like, that's not why I hired Danica Patrick. I hired Danica Patrick because I watched her run at the Indy 500 one year, and she finished 4th in the race, but she was fighting for the win in the closing stages. And I remember a moment in turn 1 where the car had a wiggle,
Right.
and got loose. And there's a bump there. And I know exactly where the bump was. I knew exactly why that car moved when it did. And I watched how she caught it and never checked up. I mean, just stayed focused, stayed on the gas, kept digging and kept herself in contention to win that race. And that was the moment that I said, we had our eye on her and we knew that we had an opportunity to get her. And that was the moment that I said, okay, I'm all in. I want to get this girl, because people don't do that in the closing stages of Indy. And they either normally wad it up or they bail out of it and panic, and they get so far behind they can't get caught back up and be that factor at the end again. And she didn't do that. So that was why I hired Danica Patrick. But you think back when I started in Cup in 99, they had more Fortune 500 companies that wanted to be on cars than there were cars.
Right.
Yeah. And it was, I mean, you saw Home Depot for a whole season. You saw Lowe's for a whole season, Miller Lite for a whole season.
And you saw Home Depot for for 15 years. Like, I mean, it was not just a one-off, it was, hey, how long do we need? I think it was his name Nardelli?
Bob Nardelli.
Bob
He's
Nardelli.
the CEO I've ever worked with.
Said, listen, Tony, I got you, buddy. However long you want to be here, I got you. Right? I mean, money's no object.
And now you look at the state of it, it's, you're selling one-off races. I mean, we're not painting cars anymore. We were wrapping cars, which was great because it made it easy to do that. It was easy to take it off after the race. It was, had great vinyl graphics department at our shop, and guys could knock out a car in a day versus having to paint them and then send them to get graphics and this and that. But it just shows how the economy of motorsports changed.
Yeah.
In the Elite Series and IndyCar, you kind of see it the same. I mean, you see some different paint schemes on different cars throughout the year, but most of them, what they have for the entire season. So it's it just the whole dynamic changed of it to where now these kids that have a father that either has a big company that they can spend money on or knows somebody that has a big company that'll write them a check. That helps these guys, but the teams need the help too. They don't have these Fortune 500 companies that sign on for the entire season. So it's not that the team owners gave in and gave up. It's just kind of the balance of this is what you have to do to maintain your business and to operate correctly too. So, and it doesn't mean that all those kids can't drive that get opportunities like that, but those opportunities did not exist in the late 90s.
No.
And real early 2000s.
I mean, like you got your, I saw a short on Gibb. It was Joe Gibbs, and they were talking about how they got you, and you had a 1-year contract left with, was it Renier? A guy named Renier?
Yep.
And Joe was like, man, first of all, he said, first of all, I couldn't track the kid down because he's running dirt here and he's in Terre Haute one night, he's in Richmond the next night, and he's in Winchester the one night. And he goes, but he had a girlfriend, which might have been Krista, I don't know, that lived in Indy, and I could call her, and she would sometimes direct me as to when she thought he might be home. And he goes, but we had our eye on this kid. And he goes, then so one day I call her up, and she things might not have been going so good. Tony might have stepped on his deal a little bit on that deal. And he goes, so I finally was able to get a hold of the kid, and we were able to get him over to NASCAR. But did he have to buy Renier out, or is that what he had to do?
He had to buy my contract out, which at that time, I mean, I was just getting into the sport. So Harry Renier and his son Lauren's the one that scouted me. I mean, he went to a lot of races for a year and a half before he signed me. But no, they were a great family and gave me a great opportunity. But when you get that call from Gibbs, and honestly, the reason that the Renier thing didn't work out for me was they wanted to move me into a Cup car earlier than I felt like I was ready. And a lot of people would sit there and go, why would you turn that down? Well, very easy for me, because it's no different than any other business world. You work your way up the business ladder and you do it a step at a time. Here I am getting into the Xfinity series. I'm one step away from the top of this, and I wasn't doing very well.
Yeah,
where I was
Joe said you wadded some stuff up early. It's what Joe said.
I wadded Renier's cars up, and then when I started driving for Joe, I wadded cars up. But some reason when I went to the Cup car, it flipped a switch. I mean, it took a little over a third of the way through the season for me to really start figuring out the cars and the tires. And when it literally was just like somebody turned a light switch on, the way I felt in the car, the feel I had for the car changed immediately. It just in the course of a couple weeks. And then we started kicking butt.
Well, and then, one thing back then, God, what were you guys doing? 850, 900 horsepower. And a guy like you that was used to being loose and free could really make up time and could really get an advantage on a guy that's not like most racers don't like being free. Meanwhile, a guy like you, free doesn't scare you. Free's fast. And so they've got him choked down so much now that a driver that is a driver, like Kyle Larson, for instance, who can drive anything and who loves being free, his advantage on his skill set doesn't pop out as much when you're choked down to, what are they, 550 now, 525, instead of at 900, you were feathering that pedal, that right, you were getting it a little assy, and the other guys are lifting and braking, and that is a lot of your success, I think. And I think that them choking the cars down so much is taking the driver out of it a lot.
I think the horsepower is a big part of that. And I think the second part is just the technology and the direction that NASCAR's gone with a lot of the things with this new car that they have. There's just a lot of things that make it more modern, but it also makes the cars to where, and technology, I think, is probably a bigger factor than what NASCAR's done to it, honestly. It's just changed the game to where you can't take a Kyle Larson anymore or Kyle Busch, who has a ton of talent. They can't sit there and get in those cars and now manipulate them.
Right.
Or before, like you said, when I started, man, I could change how I entered the corner. I could change what I did with my hands and feet. I could totally manipulate that car. And I couldn't fix it if it wasn't right, but I could always change and alter how it drove a little bit and make it a little bit better. It's almost impossible.
But you needed that horsepower to do that. You needed to be able to, you needed to have those donkeys being able to, I remember a couple times when you were struggling towards the last part and they were choking them down. I think you and I talked one time where like Kevin was on the pole or Kevin was real fast, top 5, and you were like 15, 16. And I think they said, Tony, we'll put you in Kevin's setup because we know Kevin's setup's good, and you're like, I can't drive this dump truck. I cannot drive this car.
So Harvick always liked his cars tighter than I did. I think Ryan Newman and I were real similar when we were teammates on setups. Kurt Busch was different. The thing that was different in Kurt's driving style, Kurt really drove the car really hard into the corner. He went further than anybody. So you had to do things with his setups to accommodate and work around that versus, I lifted a lot earlier. Kevin lifted a lot earlier. Danica, just depending on what track we were at, sometimes she went way deeper. Sometimes we could get her to lift early. But everybody's driving styles are different. So even though you take like Hendrick Motorsports and Joe Gibbs Racing, and when we had SHR, you got 4 drivers in a team. You'd think, man, if one guy's really kicking butt out there and got speed, you just put that same setup on all 4 cars. Does not work.
No, not at all.
All drivers have different driving styles. It's no different than us guys. We like blondes, brunettes, redheads. We all like something different. And so each crew chief had to figure out, this package is giving this guy a lot of speed. Now, how do we take that and tweak it for how our driver drives the car?
So, T, do you think, former IndyCar champion, not just, but IndyCar champion, 96, was it 96? 97? 97 IndyCar champion, the whole series. How much have those cars changed? And could you jump? I mean, as talented as you are, you can drive anything. They say you and Larson are the 2 dudes that have been in our generation that can drive anything. Could you get in? Could you get in one of the competitive Indy cars right now and roll it around Indy and be competitive?
I think somebody asked me about the Indy 500 in particular, and I said, do I think I could, in a very competitive car, make the show? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do I think I would have a shot to win the race? Probably not. And that's just strictly from the standpoint that these drivers, in this era, are so good. And I mean, keep in mind, they're running one type of car every week.
Right.
That's it. They're not out driving something else on the side, this and that. You got Connor Daly that'll go out and he'll go do some NASCAR stuff here and there. But the guys that are really at the top of their game, I mean, that is all they eat sleep, breathe is driving those
yeah,
cars.
but don't underestimate the white trash guy from Columbus. I'm just telling you, bro. I think we could put you in one of the Andretti cars or something like that, and just because you're so good, you're so competitive. I think you'd be there, boy. You're not gonna mess up on a pit stop. You're not gonna stall. You're not gonna spin out. I mean, I think you're there. I really do.
We would have a respectable run. I do feel like that. I guess where I'm going with this though is it is so technical now, and there's it's like I told the Cup guys last year when they were asking about NHRA, and so I'm not changing the topic.
Right.
I said, you know how you guys have to make split second decisions, and they're like, yeah, absolutely. I said, all right, well, what I have to do in this drag car that's different than what we did in NASCAR is I have to take that split second decision and make a split second decision off of that.
And then a split second decision off of that. You're talking about hundreds of thousands of seconds.
That's just going to a different form of motorsports, how the mindset that you're thinking about is different, because you're not settling in for a 3.5 hour race like you are a NASCAR race. You're getting in there for a 3.5 second run.
Right.
It's done in 3.5 seconds. So, to go to IndyCar and to try to be on top of that, I mean, you would have to run a lot of the old. I always said that if I was going to do that again, I would have to run all the oval races the year before I ran it.
Yeah.
Just to get reacclimated, to get in tune with understanding during the run and during a race. I mean, you can practice and run practice sessions all you want. Race conditions are always.
Now, did they have the weight jacker when you were there? How they're like? Okay, I didn't know that they had that because
it wasn't on the steering wheel. It was literally a hydraulic one that we had to twist the handle. And when you were twisting it to pick a corner up and load it, you're having to manhandle that.
Right. You're manually you're twisting like almost like a brake biased almost.
Exactly. And it was hard to do that when you were running because you already have the car making a bunch of downforce. So it's pushing down on the car. So if you were trying to add weight to a corner, you're having to load that and push it even harder. It made it really tough to do. So now that they can do it on the steering wheels, but they're so good. These drivers are so good at that. And knowing literally Indy's got 4 corners and they're shaped exactly the same. But if it's windy at all 4 of those corners drive different, and they literally will change it for each corner if they want. So the amount of detail that those drivers have in IndyCar right now is so much greater than what we had to have 15, 20 years ago and beyond that.
I love that NBC brought you and Danica in for Indy. Do you enjoy? I mean, I think it's great. First of all, I'm all about marketing and all that kind of deal, and it's great for your brand. I mean, it's so good for your brand to be a commentator for Indy. It's a lot of eyeballs for your brand. Do you genuinely like doing it, or is it a pain in your ass?
No, I do like it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. The part that was hard this year was my wife Leah had a quick getaway that week planned for us, so I literally was not at the track until the day before the race. Was my first opportunity.
Yeah, but you don't need any notes and stuff like, they overthink the whole process.
No, I did need them. And, I didn't really know till I got to the meeting on Saturday, the day before the race, exactly what they were having me do and where they were having me and what topics they wanted me to talk about. But, I went on a houseboat trip to Lake Powell that week. And like I said, Leah had already had it planned with 2 other couples that we were going out there with. And, so I literally remember being on the houseboat about 10 minutes before we backed it out of the marina, and was talking to Marco Andretti for a long time about the cars, and obviously had the hybrid system there and what that was gonna do, and the challenges the drivers and teams were having. I was hearing news of what was going on, but I wasn't there. So Marco did a really good job of getting me up to speed of what was happening, and then literally one of the days there, I'd been playing phone tag with Larson. And Kyle was calling me, and I was sitting on top of my phone on a surfboat out on the lake. And I'm like, we got to shut everything down. I mean, we got music blaring and, people surfing, and literally we stopped and shut everything off so I could hear him in the middle of this lake in Arizona, and had a good half-hour conversation with him. So between those 2 guys, I got up to speed of what was going on, and that made race day a lot better. But I do love it. I enjoy it. Danica and I didn't exactly end our relationship.
Yeah, I knew a little bit about that, and so I saw you 2 together. But you guys, I mean, you would have never known that there was ever any heat there at all.
No, and honestly, I told her toward the end of the day, I said, I'm glad we got to do this together. I said I said I've held on to some resentment for a long time, and I said getting to work with you today, I said I feel like it was when we started working together originally. I said I'm glad we got an opportunity to do this. So it was really nice to have that.
Plus, you better not get too lippy with her because did you see those shoulders she's kicking?
Come on, man. Let's be realistic here, bud.
I'm just messing with you.
You know how we fight down here. We don't fight fair. We fight.
I'll tell you a fight I'd like to see is Leah versus Danica. That'd be a hell of a fight too.
I think that's an easy one. I know exactly who to pick.
Well, Leah's got the reach and she's got the meanness too. I mean, look who she's married to. She's not a powder puff.
Well, and what most people don't realize is that in her teens, Leah took up boxing in her teens.
Yeah. Oh. I've been told by very good sources that this is the one that you walk a little lightly around.
I don't walk lightly. I make sure before I do something stupid, I sit and think about what the ramifications are going to be.
You pick your battles a little bit more closely now than you used to. You used to be just Johnny Erratic. I'll say whatever I want, whatever, bitch. Now, I mean, I'm sure that you're a little more calculated on that.
I am, but we were literally talking about it again yesterday. I mean, Leah is just like you and I. She's just as twisted. She's got the same messed up sense of humor that we have. And it is absolutely, for us as a couple, it is hilarious for us to go out and mix company sometimes, because we'll say things and sometimes it's her saying something to me. Sometimes it's me saying something to her, and we know exactly what we're doing when we do it. When we say it, we know we're not saying something to hurt each other's feelings, and people are mortified.
We were
not that way around everybody, but there's select people who like to have fun around.
You two were drinking beers in Gainesville, and it was about time for everybody to kind of go home, and she turned to you and said, "Hey, dumbass, you ready to go? It's getting a little late there, Gramps." And then we all laughed because none of your girls have ever talked to you like that. I mean, she just said, "Hey, dumbass, we got to get going. Come on." Yeah,
she I'm 54 now, so it's not like I'm the young gun anymore, and I'm not sitting there picking out my funeral plot yet. But she'll get her jabs in there. She can, like you said, not only she can just run with the big dogs anywhere. She can run with the boys in any circumstance. And I've watched guys that thought they could out drink her, when we were on off weekends and on vacations and stuff. And I sit back and I just prop my feet back and put my head back and go, I've seen this movie. I know how this ends, and you watch them get annihilated by her.
I remember my first heads up about her was Sumo, of course, and Sumo's Sumo knows everything. Goddamn, I'm just going to tell you, he's got him a spark plug on this one. Woo, it's funny. That's what he said.
He knew right off the bat too. When he met her the first time, I remember we got home and he called me and he goes, "Yeah, she's different." And I said, "Damn right she is."
How's Donnie looking for Knoxville?
Terrible.
Really?
He ran his preliminary night last night, and it was a natural disaster.
Yeah.
So the good news, he gets to rerun again on Friday, and hopefully, we'll be able to take what happened last night and try to fix whatever needs to be fixed for him to give him a better shot on Friday night to improve our position. But it's definitely not our normal Knoxville Nationals. He's definitely not been happy with his race car all year, and I've about thrown everything I can think of to throw at it to try to make it better. I just don't know what I need to do now to get him where he wants to be.
I got to thank you for letting me have Rob Platfoot for February, because my God, that guy is just, he helped. We never rubbered. We had USAC back to back with 5 nights or 6 nights of Lucas. A lot of horsepower on the track. A lot of ops instances where you could rubber down. And that guy's he knows how to slowly triculate moisture into it. And the guy can fix anything. Like, I think a PTO bearing fell off a thing. He jumps down, throws a cigarette down, gets it. He's just amazing. And so I just wanted to let you know, man, thank you for let me have him for February, because I know he's your main guy at Eldora. And
he does a great job.
You got a good team now with him and Levi. You got you a good team.
Absolutely. The great thing with Levi is he's a racer, so he understands it from the car owner standpoint, the driver standpoint, sponsors, series. He's well versed in that. I mean, he is literally hitting a home run getting Levi. But Rob's one of those guys that he's kind of the guy behind the scenes that a lot of people don't know about him, but he works at the track at Eldora. And like you said, I mean, it's not, he doesn't just prep the racetrack, he's fixing equipment. So, and there's things that, it was fun when I started working with Rob. There were a lot of things he really didn't know how to do as far as.
Oh, he's hard, and he's hard-headed too, buddy. Woo!
Oh man, and it took a long time, but I feel like the longer we've worked together, we have that mutual respect. And Rob knows that when I go to him with something, it's not because I'm mad at him, or if he doesn't know how to do something, I'm not mad that he doesn't know how to do it. It's just, hey, let's get somebody to come over and teach both of us how to do this, because I don't know how to do some of those things either. So
you should hear some of the radio traffic between him.
Stronger.
You should hear the radio traffic between him and Swally, because Swally's out there burning up hot laps, just burning Rob's track up, and Rob goes, Swally, hey Swally, and I'm listening to the radio, and I told Swally, man, I said, Swally, I'm telling you, I can make some small little adjustments here and there, but we're going through Rob, okay? I'm Rob's water truck bitch, okay? That's my job, okay? I don't own this place. I'm Rob's assistant. So, Swally, I'm going to tell you something right now. I guarantee you tomorrow night, I'm putting cones halfway up the track, and those mother effers are not getting down on that berm. I told you to stay off the berm. I told you. I swear, tomorrow night there's going to be cones halfway up. You're burning up the track. I'm like, and then Swally comes to me, mad as hell, and I'm like, that's my guy,
Yeah, you gotta have you kind of have to have an invisible leash for Rob. But it's got to be long. You got to give him a little bit of rope, but you also have to have the ability to pull him back at times. But the thing is, there's nobody that wants it to be better than what Rob does. I mean, he pours his heart and soul into it.
He's the best. He's the best at it, Tony. He really is. He's the best track prep guy in all of dirt racing. Well, maybe next to you, because you are obviously pretty good at it as well. For the Chili Bowl hasn't been the Chili Bowl hasn't been the same since you didn't have a finger in it anymore.
Well, and I think, it's a moving target. I mean, track prep's different because every year the cars and the technology of the cars, whether it's shocks or tires or whatever, changes. So what happens to the racetrack and how you prep it has to change, because what these guys are doing to their race cars to make their race cars go fast directly affect how the track wears during the night. And so, you can't just sit there and have a playbook in your hand and go, this is exactly how to do it. You have to be able to call audibles, and you have to be able to learn each year how the technology of the cars are changing, how they race. And that changes how we have to prep the racetrack to make a good event for the fans and for the drivers.
Out of all your investments, all the things you've ever done, other than probably the pretty big payday you got for the charters, which is none of my business, but out of all of the things, from the RC cars to just various racetracks to, what Eldora had to be your best investment ever.
Yeah, it's, the great thing about it is it was a great facility before I bought it.
Right, absolutely.
Built it to a great place. And even when I purchased it from Earl and Bernice, I mean, they were very active with me. Especially Earl. I mean, if I had a project I wanted to do at the track, I would really think through it before I went to Earl, because I wanted to make sure that when I went to talk to him about it, that I didn't have a question that he might have that I couldn't answer.
Right.
When we would go and go to him with a project like that, it made me feel really good that I was going the right direction, because I'd say, hey, I got this in mind. What do you think? And he'd smile and he'd look at me and go, I always wanted to do that. So it made me feel like I was on the same page as him. And I think that's the thing now at this stage of my life. And, obviously we lost Earl and lost Bernice.
Yeah.
They've been gone for a little while. And so anytime we do a project, I always sit there and I go back to, like, I was going to walk in and talk to Earl and say, what do you think about this? And so anybody that thinks we do anything at our racetrack and we don't think about how Earl would want to do it is crazy.
I heard Earl was so stiff that he would kick out Steve Kinzer. He did not care. He did not care. And if you were lippy or you had some, whatever, disrespectful or driving like an idiot or whatever, he would literally say, load it up, get the hell out. I don't care if you're Steve Kinzer, Bloomquist, Donnie Schatz, Danny Lasowski, load it up, buddy.
Yeah, he had his way of doing things, and the way he wanted it done, that's the way it was going to be done. And I feel like I'm carrying some of that attitude with me too.
Oh yeah,
because
very much.
We got a couple sprint car drivers that got lippy about, having to pay to sell T-shirts. And I'm like, you realize I'm paying almost $1 million in prize money this week. And
Right.
you're complaining because you got to pay a little bit to sell your T-shirts. And they don't have to pay anything if they sell them out of the back of their trailer like everybody else used to have to do.
Right.
10.
But if they want the prime real estate behind the grandstand, that's going to cost you something.
They want everything given to them for free so they can try to make as much money as they can make. They don't know anything about business and don't care about what it takes. Just for example, and you know this because you're a track owner, Kings Royal alone, it costs us $50,000 to have the sheriff's department there for the week.
That's just your off-duty patrol. Yeah. I mean,
Yes.
yeah.
Jeez.
And you got these little jack-off kids that sit there and can't stand that they got to pay a little fee to set their T-shirt trailer. We had 51 T-shirt trailers up there. It's like we start running out of room.
I forget.
Bring a T-shirt trailer. They're not. And here's why I think some of these kids are complaining, because they don't even sell $1,500 worth of T-shirts.
Right.
To pay for their parking space.
Right.
So they're mad because they can't get that. And it's like, nobody's saying you can't sell T-shirts out of the pits out of your trailer for free.
Right.
But if you want to be like the big dogs up here, the Donnie Schatzes, the David Gravels, those guys aren't complaining about it.
The Hudson O'Neills, those boys ain't complaining.
Jonathan Davenport,
No.
those guys, they make so much money up there that's they don't care.
I heard Earl. This is a legend, and I know you guys have changed the template since, but I heard Earl. And it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. And as a track owner, I appreciate it even more because as you know, I understand the things and struggles you deal with regards to racers bitching and pay this and pay that. But I heard Earl used to, like, the way he would make the T-shirt guys pay for the deal is he'd make them buy like 25 or 20 tickets to the event. Each hauler had to buy like 25, which is brilliant. And they could hand out to their best customers or their family or whatever. But he was insured to sell that many tickets to the event, and that paid for their T-shirt space, which is brilliant, quite frankly.
Yeah, and I would consider doing something like that, except for you make them buy 25 tickets and they just sit on them and don't give them to anybody, and you got 25 empty seats.
Right.
Could have had somebody.
And you really have the fire marshal up your ass where you have to really be compliant with regards to your capacity. So you're under the scope with regards to that. So 25 empty seats that are sitting in, some guy's hauler really is not helping you,
No, not when you got people that, we haven't had a sellout to where we couldn't sell standing room only yet. But again, like you mentioned, we have to be mindful with the fire marshals and how many people we have on property and in each area. And so, but yeah, it's fun because you got this younger generation that they want everything for nothing and they don't want to have to do anything for it. And they don't understand what it takes to run a business. So, it's some of the conversations with Levi have been funny because Levi's like, well, what do you want to do, boss? And I'm like, well, tell them to pack their shit and get out of there.
Oh yeah, I listened. Rob Platford told me
the trailer's there. So.
Rob Platford told me, I think it might have been Robert Blue or somebody that was really raising hell, and I guess Levi went up and told him to shut it down, close the doors and shut it down. And I guess that came from you. And you said, tell Blue, the madman, shut it down. And so literally Blue had to close his doors and shut it down because he was being a dick.
Well, he's not bringing another T-shirt trailer to my track. So
yeah,
that's more room for somebody else that's respectful and that we like. I mean, and the sad part is I'm a big Robert Ballou fan. I am too. More than to watch Robert Ballou run a non-wing sprint car at Eldora. If he is on the racetrack, my eyes are glued to him because he puts on a hell of a show. But my God, it's like
he gave me we had practice last year during the day. It was going to be a daytime practice because how it synced up with Volusia for the 410 USACs. And so Kurt said, listen, the only time we're going to be able to do it will be on Sunday, a day deal. Well, you know that day deals are just, you can't keep enough moisture, especially in Florida. We were having record heat. It was 83 degrees, and me and Rob were just trying to lay the water to it. Well, sure enough, 3 or 4 sessions and guys are burning the right rears off, and just really not really learning much, but it's the only time we could do it. Oh my God! Blue came up to me to my hauler and took, had like 5 or 6 tires and threw them right in front of my RV and said, it's kind of bad when you go through 4 right rears during practice and all this kind of stuff. Well, I didn't even have to get on him. Rob sicked him on him. Rob goes, load your stuff up right now, bitch. If you don't want to race here, just load it up. We don't even need you.
Yeah, you better get a leash for Rob.
No, I like Rob.
You can't turn him that loose, but no, it's right. I mean, and Robert's perspective is this, that he's there to test and learn something, and he's burning tires up that cost him money.
Yeah, lots.
But at the same time, it's like, what time of the day the test is.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's his first year and he doesn't know what the hell he's getting into, but maybe his fat head, maybe it squeezes his brain or something and he just can't think properly. But you got guys like that. I mean, there's always been guys like that in motorsports, and there's always going to be guys like that. And I'll be honest, I kind of like having it. You can't have these cookie cutter clean guys all the time. You need the rough ones like Robert. You need these other guys, but they, the thing that they don't think about, there's people to pick fights with. I am not one of those people that you want to sit there and pick fights with.
Not as a track owner. You're not. No, not what I need.
I got plenty of things to do when I'm there and plenty of people to see. And if I got to deal with somebody being a jackass, it's a quick phone call and I remedy that situation real fast.
God bless him. R.I.P. Don't want to say a bad word about the Bloomer, but even the Bloomer learned, listen, don't pick a bunch of nonsense with Tony about his scale, the whole scale controversy and the whole 9 yards. And you didn't put up with any of that nonsense. And, even the Bloomer realized that, wow, Tony will just kick my ass out of here. He didn't care.
Well, I mean, there was a deal with the scales one year. There was a deal with tires and this and that, and threatened to sue me and this and that. And I'm like, well, let's go. I mean, I don't want to spend any money any more than you do. And if you truly believe you're right, then you got to do this. I mean, I'm like, yes. If you truly think you're right, and I don't think you're right, I think we're right. We'll take it to court and settle it. And he realized real quick he wasn't gonna threaten me. And Scott and I had a ton of mutual respect for each other. There were times we didn't see eye to eye.
Yeah.
Even through that, we still had a ton of respect for each other because we knew how much each other had worked to build the sport and what we meant to the sport. So,
well, and I think you guys did. I think Eldor did the best tribute and really did the most for his family as well. So, big attaboy for that. I know you guys really took care of his daughter, and you guys did a couple things for the family. And what a tragedy. And we're just reminiscing, about how hard-headed he was and how hard-headed you are. And you get 2 hard-headed dudes, and it's a hard-headed fest. And, usually the guy with the best lawyers and the most money wins. And that's you. Yeah. So last question. Let's talk about little Dominic. How's he doing, my friend? Is he sleeping through the night? Are you getting rest? What's going on?
That kid's terrible sleeping. But he is absolutely fantastic. And, I've known you for a long time and I know you on air, but I also know you away from the studio, and I know who you are as a family man too. And everything that you told me being a father was going to be like has been exactly on point. I remember we went to Bradenton, Florida early this year. We went to the Pro Superstar Shootout event, and it was the week of the Super Bowl. And we've spent all winter on our race team trying to get it fixed and get the car sorted out from the year before that was a disaster. And we went down there and it was terrible. We made 3 out of 14 runs that we tried to make. It actually made it down the track. And I remember one of those days, we were down there 5 days, and I remember going back. I told the guys, I said, I'm going to go back to the motorhome, make a sandwich real quick. I'll be right back. And I remember walking back, and I opened up the door, went up the steps, and that's where Leah had his bassinet. And I looked down in there, and he looked up at me and just smiled. And I was like, you know what? The car's not that bad, and it's not that important right now.
Doesn't really matter, does it?
It took a little itty bitty infant to to teach me how to put a lot of this stuff in perspective. And it's stuff that you told me would come in time, and Kevin Harvick told me would come in time.
And your dad told you it was. I mean, Nelson PK, man, you can say what you want, but he was a pretty damn good dad. Shop teacher, just a regular hardworking son of a bitch. But he got you into racing. He's a hell of a dude, and still a pred, but man, Nelson, you had a good dad too. You really did.
Yeah, he's the king of giving women mammograms, I say.
Yeah, that's saying it nicely.
Gets his arm around him, just gives him that big hard hug. And so I have friends that we're around the NASCAR stuff, and some of them are in the drag racing space now. And I'm like, well, did you get your free mammogram today? And they just laughed. They said, yeah, we saw your dad.
So are you, his mom is a world-class race car driver. His dad's, got more accolades I can talk about right now. Do you think Dom will be a racer?
It would be hard to not assume that that's what's going to happen, right, knowing what both of his parents do. But I think that was one thing in one conversation that Leah and I had that was fun for us, because we didn't know where each other stood on this topic. And I, all of our circle track buddies are like, when are you getting him a quarter midget? And all the drag race friends we have are like, when you getting him a junior dragster and this and that. And
get them both.
we both kind of had the same answer when we sat and talked about it. And literally the conversation didn't last any more than 60 seconds. And we both were absolutely on the same page of saying, we're not buying anything for him until he says, I want to do this. Because motorsports, if you want to play Little League baseball and you want to get a participation ribbon and all that, that's fine. If you want to do that with, Little League football and basketball and all that, that's great. I think it's great to teach them team sports. Racing is not that way. Racing is not one of these things you do half-ass. You're either all in or you're all out, because, what's the worst that can happen at a basketball game? You jump up and you twist your ankle.
Right.
Race car every time. And even if it's a go-kart that's going 50 miles an hour, you can get killed in it.
Yep.
So to have a son like Dominic that, everybody assumes he's going to be a race car driver, he has to make that decision in our eyes. And he has to have that drive and passion that both Lee and I have to be professional race car drivers. And it's like, and if he just wants to do it to just do it for a while, we're not saying he can't do it, but while you're doing it, you have to be all in. So he has to tell us if and when he wants to drive race cars, and we'll obviously support him in whatever he wants to do. I mean, we're both, if he wants to play golf, we're supportive of it. If he wants to play volleyball, whatever he wants to do, we don't care. We just want whatever you are passionate about and what you want to do in life, do it 100%. Don't do it half-ass.
Basketball players have to dodge dildos, Tony. Come on.
Yeah.
Well, if you're around Bubba, you're going to have to dodge some at some point.
Exactly.
But man, the Harvick kid's good. The Bush kid's good.
Great.
Yeah.
Those two kids are great.
They're
Elon is crushing it.
Yes, he's killing it. I mean, he's beating Kevin.
Yeah. And I kind of had different views than Kevin on this. I mean, Kevin got him in a late model at 12.
I know.
And we putting these, we don't talk about it because
I did the same thing. I had Tyler in a 360 at 12.
And I'm sitting there going, why are we putting these kids in there? Their brains aren't developed all the way. Their bodies aren't mature. They can get hurt, because their bodies aren't mature like an adult. And they don't make adult decisions. There's a reason you don't get a driver's license till 16. There's a reason they don't let you drink alcohol till you're 21. It's because, and even at 54, I make bad decisions that I shouldn't make.
No, you never do.
But I've been against that. I've been one of those guys that is a proponent of, they don't get in full size adult race cars till they're 16. But Keelan is one of those guys that the path that Kevin took him overseas racing go-karts. And you look at what Kyle Busch has done with Braxton, running Legends cars and Bandoleros and getting him in micro sprints and mini sprints. These guys are taking their kids down the right path and doing it the right way and have the right mindset to do that. Do I think every 12-year-old can do that and be capable of it and do it the right way?
No,
absolutely.
No.
There's not even guys that can do that.
And the only reason I was able to get Tyler, in something as volatile as a 360 wing sprint at 12 is because I had a track and we had unlimited practice. So, he had car control. Hell, one of our greatest accomplishments is he beat you at 12. He beat Tony Stewart. I mean, he beat you fair and square at 12. And I remember you did an interview about it and be like, hey, listen, this guy's, this kid can drive about anything. And, but most dads don't own a track. Most dads aren't Kevin Harvick. Most dads aren't Tony Stewart. Most dads aren't,
did it the right way. You took him in a controlled environment. Yep. Nobody else was on the track. So if he made a mistake, he wasn't tearing somebody else's race car up.
Right.
You had the ability to do something that a lot of people don't do. And that's just giving laps. And that's what kids need.
Yep.
It's just lap after lap. And I remember early in our conversation today, you brought up simulators, and man, I'm a big fan of iRacing. Huge.
So am I. That is so. I mean, we didn't have any of that stuff when we were growing up, but can you imagine how good? I mean, you're good, one of the best ever. But can you imagine at age 6, you were in already driving a 410 sprint car on a simulator?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great advantage now for young drivers. Yeah. There are some pitfalls that go with that. I think some of these drivers, when you can crash a car and crash with another guy on a simulator and it didn't cost you real money and real time of working on a car, and you literally can reach up and hit a button and boom, you got a new car again and you start over. I think that is one of the variables that you have to watch with these kids, because some of them forget that it's real money. It's real people driving them at a racetrack, and people have had man hours in them. So you put a 12 or 14-year-old kid in a car that doesn't have a job. He doesn't have to support his wife and his other kids, and
not paying for any of the equipment. His dad is
not paying. Doesn't have it. Kids don't have a job at 12, so
doesn't know that a right rear is $300 right now.
and for these kids to go out there, and sometimes they get a little aggressive like they do on iRacing, but the good ones figure it out pretty quick. So I'm a huge fan of simulators. I think iRacing is one of the best things that's happened to motorsports, because it's brought people that weren't sure that they could be race car drivers, and they're really good on iRacing. Most of the time they can get in a race car and do pretty well with it out of the gate.
Weren't you an early investor or a believer? Weren't you part of iRacing's conception?
No, not at all.
I thought you were. I bet you wish you were.
Absolutely, I do. I do, and honestly, I still wish I was. If I had the opportunity to invest in it, I would love to, because I truly believe in iRacing.
I do too. It's the best.
But they came and scanned Eldora Speedway. We were one of the early dirt tracks that they scanned, and so we had a partnership with them early. And my buddy Rico Abreu.
Rico, I love him.
He had it, and I got on his at the house, and he goes, "You need to get one." So we literally went and bought all the stuff we needed to set up another rig in the house. And it's not uncommon. I mean, literally since we've had Dominic out in Arizona over the winter, it would not be uncommon to get him in bed at 8 or 8:30 at night, and I'm out on the simulator at 9, and I'm shutting it down at 5 in the morning. And 8-hour sessions doing iRacing. I mean, I absolutely love doing it.
Didn't Ronnie Setzer build you a little rig? At your Columbus house?
Yeah, Jason Setzer.
Jason Setzer, yeah.
Jason built one, and actually Sumo has that rig now, and our buddy Chad Wheeler in Oklahoma, he's one that has built Dale Jr. and Kyle Larson, myself, Patrick Mahomes. He's built a lot of cool sims for these guys, but they're affordable, and are small enough. They're just one unit, and you can move them around and move them to different locations. He's built one for myself and one for Leah that we bought for the ranch here in Indiana. And then I've got a different company that I bought one out in Arizona that I like too. So it's fun. I mean, I can't get Leah into it just because she's just not, she's a drag racer. She's not really an oval racer, sports racer. So she doesn't really have an interest in it, but I'm glad we have two of them, because at some point, Dominic, we're going to get him.
Oh yeah.
On it. So I didn't even think about that till right now. So your question of will he drive a race car? I can about guarantee you he's going to want to drive a race car, because he's going to get on this iRacing sim.
You're going to get a little baby seat and pedal extensions, but he'll be like a little Rico in there, right?
I can see this being a gateway to getting him into a full-size race car. So
hey, but I know I could talk to you for hours, my friend, and I hope we can do this again. Get so much great information from you, and tell Leah I said hi, my friend, and I'm trying to make it to the Nationals this year in Indy. And I know I saw you in Gainesville this past year, but God, the weather sucked this year in Gainesville, didn't it? Oh, it was the worst. But
that's the hard part about spring, and especially March in Florida. I mean, you know how it's hit and miss down there, but NHRA does a great job. We love racing with them. It's like we mentioned earlier. I mean, to sit there and go to a series where you can go to a big race and buy one ticket, and you can literally go everywhere. You can go down and see the drivers, see the cars. You can be in the pit when they do the warm up. That's something you can't get anywhere else. So I love what I'm doing in NHRA. I love the fact that we won 2 races this year and that we led the points for a while, and we legitimately.
Well, I think you've already punched your ticket for the playoffs, have you not? You've already punched your ticket for it.
We did. So we got Brainerd coming up next weekend, then we got a weekend off, and got the U.S. Nationals, and then our playoffs start. So
have you thought about it for 1 second? What the hell you're gonna do if you win the championship? I mean, at that point, man, they can't say that you're not the greatest of all time. Nobody's ever done that. Nobody's ever won Indy, NASCAR, IROC, WKA, NHRA. I mean, that's good. That's it could happen. It could happen, bud.
It's a legitimate possibility, and we have a legit opportunity, at least where we're at right now, of contending for a championship this year. So the good thing is we got a great beer sponsor. We have American Rebel Light Beer, and a great partner. And I told Andy Ross that owns the company, I said, if we're still in this mathematically in this thing at Pomona, I said, you have better make sure you bring enough beer, because it's going to be,
because you're a beer drinker. When you put your mind to it and you're celebrating something, I mean, I think you're an old Schlitz guy, aren't you?
He used to be,
used to be a Schlitz. I've like. Someone will be like, God damn, I don't know why he's drinking Schlitz.
Now it's American Rebel Light, man. Get with it, Bubba.
I know.
Come on.
American Rebel Light's a better quality than Schlitz was. The whole reason I drank Schlitz back in the day is because I had my house in Indiana, and then I had a house in North Carolina, and I had roommates. So you would, if you were in North Carolina and you came home to Indiana and you looked in the fridge, there wasn't any beer in the fridge because your jack-off roommates drank all your beer and didn't buy any.
Right.
So you'd buy beer and you'd have beer when you were home. And then when you'd go back to North Carolina, same thing. The fridge, you'd open it up, get a beer.
But they wouldn't touch that Schlitz, would they?
Out of one, man. If there were 7 in the fridge when you left and you came back 3 months later, there were 7 in the fridge when you came home. I'm like, I found my beer.
Rumor has it that you did some Pro Mod testing, was within, 2/100ths of what they're running. And just little birdie told me that Leah might get back in a rail next year, and you might run Pro Mods. I mean, that's just rumor on the streets.
Sure. Yeah, Leah tested it after the Richmond, Virginia race. Leah tested on that Monday, and there hasn't been anything officially. She hasn't made her mind up 100%. But I saw her get out of the car, and I saw when she took her helmet off, I saw the look on her face, and I'm like, I own this team, and I'm going to get fired from driving this team at the end of the year. Most likely.
You could be the only guy, hold on, you could be the only guy, Tony, to own the team, to win a championship, and get fired.
Yeah, all in the same deal.
I know.
And it's a legit possibility. So, obviously Leah, it was her car to begin with.
Right,
and
we know.
Pregnant, I got picked to be the replacement driver, but I've said all along, and we get fans every week that come up and they're like, when's Leah coming back and all that, and I'm like, hey, you're asking the wrong person. When Leah comes out, you got to ask her when she's coming back, because I need to know the same thing. So I went down to Tulsa, Oklahoma. My good friend Richard Freeman, who owns Erica Ender's team and Aaron Stanfield's team, he's got about 7 or 8 or 9 pro stock cars now. Went down to Tulsa Monday and Tuesday and tested in one of the pro stock cars. So he offered me a job for next year if I want it. So I've got an open. I have an opportunity. I'm not going to be sitting
with a good team too. I mean, Eric Anders is the champion, isn't she?
She's a 6-time champion.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Drives from a buddy Randy Skagg.
Yeah, and so I don't know what I'm going to do. I mean, I love Top Fuel.
But those pro mod guys, I'm not trying to take anything from your top fuel guys, but those pro mod guys, those are some shifting son of a bitches. I mean, there's way more activity that, I mean, let's just be honest. You're smashing the gas and holding on and hoping that your tuner put the right setup on your deal. It's sketched out. Your face is peeled back. You got 6Gs going on. You're hoping you don't want, but with those pro mods, I mean, it's a real race car driver. Like you're shifting the gears like your NASCAR Willie. I mean, bam, 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 bam.
Yeah, and we need to clarify. So I drove a pro stock car. There is pro mod too. Pro mod's even another level of crazy.
Yeah, you could do it.
I think I could learn how to do it in time, but the pro stock cars are slower than the pro mods are. But man, I mean, like you said, I mean, when we hit the gas in the top fuel car, I've already stepped off of a clutch pedal, so it's like a centrifugal clutch. And literally, I'm holding the brake with my hand, and when that light changes, I'm stabbing the gas and letting the brake off. That's it. With the pro stock car, you're having to set line lock brake pressures and do the burnout where you're starting in second gear and third, fourth, fifth as fast as you can shift and let off the line lock. There's just way more things in the procedure to do. But when you hit the gas and when you're holding the line lock, you got your foot on the clutch, you got your foot on the gas, and when that light changes, you're dumping the line lock and you're dumping the clutch at the same time.
I think you would like it. I think you would like it more. I really do, because I mean, you're all about the driving part of a sport, and I think you'd like it more. I really do.
I really enjoyed it. I mean, I think I made 5 full runs in the car. Well, 4 full runs in the car. Over the 2 days, but it's definitely, there's more driver input, right? I feel in that because of the shifts,
right?
It's not that drivers don't. I mean, when you're driving a 330 mile an hour top fuel dragster or funny car in 1,000 feet, I mean, the drivers are busy in there. Trust me, and they got to be talented because with nitro motors, if the tire spins or the motor gets too free, it can put cylinders out. And when it does that, if you don't catch it right away, they can blow up. The pro stock car is just a different challenge. It's not going to blow up if something happens, but when you leave the line, you have 4 shifts that you got to hit at the right times to keep that motor in the right RPM range. Yeah. And so the driver becomes a different factor than what it is in top fuel and funny car. But yeah, it's got my interest. I've got some feelers out there to drive some other cars next year in NHRA. So, just
man, how cool would that be?
What Leah's doing for sure. We can't do anything, but once she makes her decision, and if she does decide that she wants to come back next year, I've at least got some irons in the fire of options for.
We'll get the boss lady to commit to the rail. We'll get Hagen in the funny car. We'll get you in the pro stock, and then we'll have 3 cars. Maybe Randy will throw you a Skag Willie, get some sponsorship, and man, that'd be great, wouldn't it? Oh my God.
If Hagen had his way, we would start another funny car team. If Leah ultimately had her way, we would start another top fuel team. And I keep telling both of them, I'm like, yeah, to get through year one on that.
I need 10 million.
I need 6.5 to 7 to get through year one.
I wasn't too far off.
No, and then I got to figure out how to get 3.5 to 4 the next year to keep running it. So
right, and you got to probably buy another haul. You probably got to buy another hauler, right? Another hauler, 2 more hauler, right?
It takes 2 of those semi-truck and trailers to run each car.
Right.
Everything that you have in there is what it takes to run those cars. So, we would need 2 trucks and trailers. It's not just like, and I don't have the bandwidth to just write a check for that and go on down the road.
Oh, yeah, you do. Don't even think about it, please.
I don't have a job now. So what I have is what I have to live the rest of my life and support my family on. So I have to be a little careful about what I'm spending and where. But yeah, I'm going to do something.
I was with you one time, and listen to this, Lummy. We were at the Lightning game, and Tony wanted to buy $5,000 worth of 50-50 tickets.
Oh, yeah. And it was going through the roof.
It was like, I don't know, it was like 30 or 40 grand. And Tony, so the guy with the little, the guy comes down the rows and he sells them. So Tony gives him his credit card and says, I'll take $5,000 worth. Well, the first problem was that he had an Indiana-based bank, and so you couldn't do it with an Indiana bank. So this guy directed us to this kiosk ask that we could go do it, but it was halfway around the arena. So Tony's like, listen,
I finally got around there. Our fat asses were over. We didn't give a shit if we won the 50-50 or not. We just wanted to get ice cream and beer and go back to our seats.
So we get these tickets. I swear to God, they went from here to the parking lot, and he gave me a third of them. He gave Jimmy Carr a third of them, and he took a third of them. So when they announced the winners, we're just looking at the ticket numbers to see if we won. Of course we didn't.
Of course not.
We weren't even close. Our number wasn't even in the same zip code as the rest.
No, but it was funny to watch Tony Stewart try to buy $5,000 worth of 50-50 tickets. you degenerate.
Hey, the other half went to charity. Come on, man. We did something good for somebody.
It really. Man, the Eldora 50-50 gets up to like what, $200,000?
Oh.
It gets on the big shows. It'll get over 100,000.
Yeah,
which is pretty cool. I mean, you think about going to a race, and literally, I think the last one that was over 100,000, the guy was a firefighter, 2 small towns north of Eldora, and to me, that's just awesome.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
Great, because the 50% that we keep goes to charity, and we know we're doing something positive there. But a lot of times you don't really hear the story of who wins some of these 50-50s. And for these guys to win $100,000, that's life-changing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So to see a firefighter like that win that, to me, that was awesome. So, I mean, we always get it started off right, get the money and get a little money in there early. From ourselves to get the thing going.
Right. Get people excited. It's already $25,000 and they haven't they're still working on the track.
Maybe next year a struggling DJ can win.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe. I mean, who knows? Shit.
Set it up.
Buy 2 tickets and then he'll get pissed off if he doesn't win it. You know how that goes.
All right, listen, I'll get mad
this drawing is bullshit.
I'll get mad if I have to pay for a pit pass. I'll be lighting Tony up. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh man, I stayed at Bubba's Big Bath and Beyond. I mean, you got tickets anytime you want to go.
I know that, buddy. Hey, listen, tell the boss lady I said hi, and I just absolutely adore the hell out of her. Give your kid a big old hug. Please know that I keep up through Rico and Sumo, so I keep up on what you're doing, and I'm so proud of you. You're such a great dad. You're a great husband. You're as grounded and as happy as I've ever seen you. As successful as I've ever seen you, and it's just really, really happy to see my friend do well and be happy and be with a woman that appreciates what you do. And let's do this more often, T, and let's keep in better touch if we can.
Absolutely, man. It's you stay up with Rico and Sumo, and I'm like, but he's got my phone number. It's like you can reach him.
But I'm the guy that likes to stay off your radar because you got so many people. See, here's the deal. I'm the guy that stays off your radar, and you appreciate that. If I need you, I'll get a hold of you, but I'm not blowing you up. I got you. We got each other.
It's funny because I got so many really close friends, and they're the ones that reach out the least because of that.
Yep.
It's like I got all kinds of downtime that and I'm busy. I'm still busy as hell, but I mean, there's a lot of times that I've got downtime and I'm like, man, I love hearing from my friends. So it's, I always tell all you guys that are close to me, I'm like, man, don't ever be afraid to pick up the phone. And even if it's just sending a text message saying, hey, I'm thinking about you today. I love getting those messages and loving talking to my friends, man. It's, as you get older in life and, it's great to look at the stats and the records and the championships and awards we've got. But, as much as those mean a lot, there's nothing that means more to me than my friends and my family.
Friends and family, man.
I mean, you fit in both of those categories.
Thank you, my friend. I'm humble.
Yeah, I'm humble. I definitely want to do this more with you. I love getting on and hanging, and definitely love it when I get a chance to go down south and be there in person, see your boys there, and hang out with the guys. And you got a great group there, and we just love hanging out and having fun.
Hey, bud, have a good day, my friend. What's up for this weekend? You got an off weekend? Well, I mean, it's probably really not an off.
I've had a busy week. So Tulsa Monday and Tuesday, testing the Pro Stock car. We were down in Franklin, Tennessee yesterday with Johnson's Horsepower Garage with our buddy Johnson, and Andy Ross from American Rebel Light was down there yesterday too. And today got a day off. I actually get a haircut today.
Oh, okay.
Which I'm excited about. I'm way overdue for a haircut. So amazing how.
That's why you got a hat on.
That, and because I didn't get in the shower when I got up, I just threw a hat on.
Right.
So, but yeah, to the next 2 days, Friday and Saturday, this is Knoxville Nationals week too, our biggest week.
Are you headed over?
I'm not going to make it this year. It's the first year that I'm not going to make at least a day.
Usually you'd fly in, at least catch the Saturday night show or the Friday, based on if you had a cup deal, and fly out. And the announcer would be like, "Ladies and gentlemen, look up. You'll see that's Tony Stewart's citation leaving the airport."
Yeah, but we got to go to Detroit tomorrow and Saturday for Dodge, and they've got roadkill nights up there. So it's on Woodward Avenue, and they do a big deal with the automotive industry up there. So we're going to spend some time with our Dodge friends up there, and I'll be rooting Donnie shots on from my phone. I'll be watching online. But,
I'll be watching Flo on your phone. Amanda, Dodge, dating back to Kevin Miller when he used to run Dodge. Man, I'm glad to see Dodge has been really taking good care of you. They really have. It's good to see them, helping you and being such a great sponsor. Yeah.
Yeah, great partner. Mark Whitney's the guy we deal with at Dodge now, and just does a fantastic job. He's very, very frugal about everything. He makes sure that when we need something, when we go to him, we not only say, hey, we need this, but we tell him why. And if it's justified, he gets it. If it's something that can wait down the road, he makes us wait a little bit. But man, they great people at Dodge, and Tim Kaniskas and the gang. I mean, they just great people.
Listen, Bud, good talking to you. I love you. And hopefully I'll be seeing you for in Indianapolis here in a couple weeks, my friend.
Yeah, definitely. If we come up a little early, a couple days, and we'll mess around before we go up there and get busy.
Get on the farm. I love the farm. Yeah. All right, but, hey, you still got deer camp as the boss, as the deer boss out there?
Oh yeah, Ryan's out there digging all every day. We got two guys that take care of the deer and the farm.
He at that one when I went to the Rumble with you for the New Year's Eve, I thought he was going to kill me. I have to tell you that story some other time. I made a joke about his hairline and that he looked like Eddie Munster. And
that's not probably a good joke, Bubba.
It took his wife to get him off me. He was going to kick my. Someone goes, "God damn, I'm going to tell you something. I've never seen him he's going to beat your ass."
Oh, and it's easy too, because if you're within 5 feet of him, another 3 feet, you got him. I mean, we can't turn around and run that fast right now. So
I'm not a very fast runner either, T.
I'd love to see that foot race.
I'm not beating anybody in a foot race either, buddy. I'm telling you that.
Yeah, we it was funny because Rico and I were actually talking yesterday about the Big Girl Nationals, and I'm like,
yeah.
Maybe we need to make this a traveling event from Ocala, and maybe we need to bring it to Eldora.
Oh my God! If we did it Eldora, oh my Lord!
I'm going to make the call today to Levi, and I'm going to bring this up, and he's either going to tell me I'm the biggest idiot that he's ever met, or he's going to. I think we can pull this off, because you got to think about society right now. I mean, we got plus size women and catalogs and stuff, which I love. I mean,
and when I started getting people kind of getting a little bit, hey, this is a little bit mean to girls and things like that. I'm like, where else can a big girl win $3,000 in a track and field event?
Yeah, and not get beat by somebody that's eating kale every day.
Right, exactly. So where a big girl can be rewarded for being big and being the money.
That's right.
And as a society now, I mean, we're celebrating that. You get into fashion catalogs and clothing catalogs. There's big women in there, and I think it's great because not everybody's skinny.
No, and especially girls from Ohio, Rossburg, Ohio. I mean, those are corn-fed girls up there, and they need a chance to win $5,000, just like the next guy does.
It's celebrating big girls.
Celebrating big girls.
The American Rebel Light Big Girl National.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, and if my grand prize for my little ass was $5,000, it'd be 15 at Eldora, maybe 20.
It's actually just American Rebel. There's nothing light about these ladies.
Hey, well, that's why we're giving them American Rebel Light, so they don't have to. They don't really stock up for the event.
Yeah, I mean, really, honest to God, really, we probably really need to talk about that. I mean, we really should.
I literally was talking about it, and Kelly Antonelli, who runs our NHRA program, Kelly's in the back seat listening to all this, and I'm like, Kelly's one of them that if I get down a rabbit hole on a bad idea, she's normally the first to pipe up. She was listening. She didn't really say much, so I'm like, she's processing this, thinking this might have legs.
I mean, the high jump winner was 2 foot 7 inches. That was the high jump winner, and onto a bale of hay. I mean, it just writes itself. I mean,
Man, I think
we had the pickup truck push challenge where they had to push a pickup truck for a certain distance, and we had the
what was it, the 50 or half lap?
Well, you see, Eldora's a half mile, so you couldn't do a half lap, so you have to do like a straightaway run.
we'd have to have refreshment stops on the way for.
Well, yeah,
they could have to eat a pie on there halfway through.
You know, Eldora is even a better facility than I got, so we could do way more with it. Like maybe do it during the King's Royal or during the prelude. We used to have the prelude to the Dream. We don't have a prelude anymore. We could have the big girl games.
I like it. I'm telling you, I'm making phone calls today, Bud. You inspire me.
Ask Leah what she thinks, and we'll see. You know,
she'll be pissed off she can't enter.
Yeah, she's way too light. Like, no way. You have to be over 200 to even be in the gimmick. Like, you can't be under 200 pounds. Yeah.
I think
you actually were my biggest sponsor when I did the Big Girl Nationals. You wrote me a $2,500 check. You were my biggest sponsor.
Yeah.
So,
well, I thought it was awesome. I mean, I thought girls that don't have a chance to ever compete for money like that in a sporting event get a chance.
How many 5'8", 260-pound girls have ever won anything?
Hammer throw.
Well, I mean, shot put.
Yeah, but did it pay $3,000, $5,000 to win?
No, it didn't pay $5,000. No.
Participation ribbon.
Then they got a medal at best. A little nickel-sized medal. Yeah, no big deal. Hey T, love you, my friend, and let's look into that. I'm telling you, we could just the social media presence alone, we could pay for itself.
Oh, I guarantee it.
Yeah,
I got to make sure that if Leah approves and Levi approves, then I got to call Dodge and say, hey, what do you think? And I got to start going down the channels. There's a lot of hurdles to cross here.
But you know the hot spots as far as like when does big girls always get screwed out of any event?
Exactly.
So it's as pro woman as you can get.
This is their time to shine.
Yep. Sorry, skinny girls. I mean, skinny girls get all the prizes. They get all the accolades. Miss Eldora, look how hot they are. They win everything. Well, Miss Eldora couldn't even qualify for this now.
Oh, not eligible.
Not eligible. All right, T. We love you, buddy.
Thank you, bud.
See you later, buddy. All right, bud. Thank you.
Bud.
Tony Stewart.
Gene Lasker just walked in. I'm a few minutes early for the show.
I'm glad you got Tony.
No, it's Friday.
What's that?
We might let Gene enter as an honorable mention.
Gene could be the color commentator. Man, look at this big girl. I'm telling you right now, man, she's big as hell.
My money's on number 3. I saw her take a big dump right before the event.
Making the Trophy King or something.
Oh man, maybe we could get a big food like Culver's or somebody like that, to help sponsor.
American Rebel Light.
Well, there's
the only trans we support are transmissions.
there was an eating contest, Brian.
All right, T man, good talking to you, buddy.
All right, guys, thank you.
All right, bye, buddy. Thank you so much. Man, so late. But I don't care. I mean, we run our own network.
Well, we don't have a next break.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I'm just going to say goodbye to everybody.
Yeah,
that's why I said bullshit during Tony's interview.
Listen, we run our own network. If the affiliates are mad at me, fire me,
bitches.
I mean, I had Tony Stewart on for an hour. I mean, who else?
An hour and 25 minutes.
Who else can get? I mean, most people can't interview Tony in that manner, like from a friendship point of view. And you get
into it long form style.
Well, I'm a long form dude.
That's right. And now he's going to be bringing back Big Girls Nationals.
Can you imagine? See, now you have to understand, Brian. His track Eldora is literally like, what's the most like Lambeau Field with regards to. The prestigious
like Indy for the Indy 500.
Yes,
racing.
It would be like like Daytona 500 and Indy 500 are the two crown jewel racetracks. His Eldora is the Indianapolis 500 Motor Speedway of dirt racing. It's the by far most popular, most successful, largest. I mean,
and you're in the Midwest. You got some big women.
Don't forget
that are athletic too, because they work.
Don't forget. I mean, we actually the girl that weighed the most got $1,000.
So the heaviest competitor wins no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, so the heaviest competitor, I think she came in at like what 388.
Yeah, she was almost. Yeah, she was over 360. I know that.
And Brian, the numbers. You know how in competition, you have athlete 1, athlete 2. Their numbers were their weight. So stepping up for the push truck, it's number 268. And, the girl that won the heaviest, she weighed, I think, 388 pounds. But, she made $1,000 for being the heaviest.
There you go.
So
everybody's a winner at the Big Girls Nationals.
But you know what? I'm changing it from I bought the domain. I'm not doing it Nationals. I just call it Big Girl Games.
There you go.
It's called the Big Girl Games. I think that's better than Nationals, don't you think, Brian? It's a little bit Big Girl Games.
Yeah, it's fine.
Well, because they have the Florida Man games now.
I own the domain, so nobody try to buy it.
Perfect.
Brian, sorry for keeping you late today,
hey,
bud.
buddy. Look, it was good. It was fun listening to you and Tony.
Can I tell you? You gotta. Here, very little about racing, but you got like 3 or 4 zingers in. You did. That made him laugh.
Yeah, no, he chuckled. I got some Tony chuckles.
You got some Tony
good.
chuckles. You did. Did
he really shit? I wanted to ask, but I didn't know if it was did he really shit at Watkins Glen when he won in 2004?
What's that now?
There's always said that he crapped himself lap 23 at Watkins Glen in 2004.
I should have asked him that. I'll ask him that next time.
Okay.
All right, my friend. Everybody, Bubba Army do we still got people?
Yeah, we got YouTube, but
we're still at almost 2,000. 1,500 on YouTube.
Wow,
over 1,500.
What are people saying? I suck. Went too long.
No, they're saying thank God Brian kept his mouth shut for the full 90 minutes.
Oh, Brian, I gotta give you a number to give Seth for a host, okay?
Thanks for letting me finish.
You've been listening to the Bubba the Love Sponge Show, starring
me, Bubba the Love Sponge,
co-host and show historian, Lummit.
It's Seth, co-host and president of podcasting.
It's Brian Matroni, king of counter programming.
You're wiring up. It's Mini Macho.
The BRN agent, Thomas Buttoned Up B.
Co-host, Dr. Dan Diaco, Esquire of Council.
Co-host, J. Diaco, Esquire, the Spitting Cobra of Council.
Now, time for the legal disclaimer.
Exactly.
The Bubba the Love Sponge Show is intended solely for the enjoyment of our listening audience. Any rebroadcast, retransmission, or other use of this show without express written consent of the Bubba Radio Network is prohibited.
We must dissuade him of this delusion.
Until next time, always remember.
I'll repeat hello. I'm back.